Collingwood, Jared.
Rightio, the opening siren Friday night footy, the Dogs and the Pies on Grandstand AFL. You're with Drew Morfitz.
So I'll go for the Pies as well. Hot favourites tonight. Here's the bounce to get us underway. Minson over the top. I'll give the hit out to Wood. It comes down to Johnson of the Pies, who kicks him to centre half forward. Mark's dropped down there. The ball comes back into the centre square. Pendlebury gets a touch, but not a possession. Kick by Griffin is smothered. Boyd gathers. He's pulled off the kick, has an airy. Taken by Dalehouse. Gets up off the ground. He's a little freak, this fella, and gets the first fair income kick of the game. Up towards half forward, and there was a push on Cooney well before the ball arrived, and the free kick is against Maxwell.
That's a difficult one because he actually made contact with Maxwell a long while before the ball was 5 metres, and they end up falling into each other. A bit lucky, I reckon, Cooney, then to get that free.
So Cooney's about a kick and a quarter from goal. Thumps it up long, short of the goal square. It's knocked down to the front by Brown. Oh, gee. There's a chance in there, and the Bulldogs player has gone to ground and has taken one high, and there's going to be a free kick here close to goal, and it's going to be the tagger who gets the first kick for goal of the game, with Picken having the shot for goal.
And Lake has gone to Travis Cloak there, Jared.
We had a little wager that might happen.
Well, people have been talking about Dalehouse, and I sort of thought he was a flash in the pan sort of players, but the reality is that he was the bloke who found the ball in heavy traffic and made his way out. It was a terrific effort to get this forward thrust.
Angle about 45 degrees, distance about 35, and Picken misses to the right-hand side. Gee whiz, that was a gilt-edged opportunity, but he's only kicked 23 goals in 70 games. That's not his go, a behind.
Well, it kills you, doesn't it, Drew?
It does.
That kills you.
Marty Clark on the kick in. He measured off short for Beam. Beams will look straight into the middle and dab it out to centre half back for Pendlebury. Sinclair's made the play 35 metres further afield. Thought about the hand pass, balked it and runs on instead. He'll deliver long in the Cloak direction up into the pack. He hit the pack hard, landed all over Eastern Wood. The ball spills away and out of play.
Gee, they look vulnerable there, the Western Bulldogs, and if you can get that kick in away, by geez, you can score quickly at Telstra Dome.
So deep forward, Wood got it out of the ruck, lofted it up across the face of goal. Cloak is after a bouncing ball and Lake is after him. They each got what they were after. Cloak is trapped with the ball. Lake's done a good job to hold him up. A pack forms around it. The ball is lost underneath. They started with all three tools forwards. Reed went forward with Dawes and Cloak.
Here's the bounce just inside the 50. Collingwood in attack. Hit out, one by Wood. Next touch at ground level. Well, it's cleared out of there for the Bulldogs. Out towards the middle of the ground. Cooney in a contest. The ball's dislodged. Great effort by Shaw to get it away from him. Little toe poke away. Boyd in after it. He's on all fours. Gets the hand pass away. But it is intercepted here by Reed for the Pies. They're inside the 50. Cloak waits at the back. Doesn't get that far. And it is grabbed by Lake, who goes across the ground, and he finds big Will Minson.
Minson will put it well outside the defensive area. Sherman's on the break on the outer wing. Down the line he goes. He's missed his target, Jan Siracusa, and it breaks down out against the boundary.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Adam Cooney in that Heath Shaw contest any measure, the umpires are going to let the game go all night, because Cooney should have got a free kick there.
Absolutely.
Nearing right half forward for the Dogs at the throw in. Minson and Wood shared it underfoot. Pendlebury, they all got hold of him as soon as he took possession.
Swan to the bench after 3.5 minutes, and Picken came with him all the way.
Sherman missing that. Coming down the wing, he's under speed pressure, no behind pressure. Just had to hit his mark, missed it out of bounds, and it's shocking effort, really.
Two ruckmen form up again. Murphy got it underfoot, got out onto his right-hand side, hand pass to Griffin. Deep inside the 50. He's gone for Roughhead. He's out positioned. He almost pulled the ball away from Keith before a pack formed, trapped it, and it's lost underneath.
Adam White.
Drew, Dane Swan just come off for a break. He's having a hamburger and some chips, and then he'll be coming back on.
Oh, gee, if he's overweight, let's all be overweight and play footy like he does. What a performance on Anzac Day. Here's the bounce. Minson and Wood. Minson tries to do some roving underneath. Comes to cross. He's over the ball. He's got to get it out. But the bloke who does get it out is side bottom for Collingwood. Wellingham fights hard for it. Inside defensive 50 for the Pies. Wellingham still fights hard, but his hand pass is intercepted by Murphy. His hand pass intercepted by Pendlebury. Pendlebury does a little 1-2 with Beams, and Pendlebury's kick up short of centre wing And the mark's taken by Lake. Hand pass in. Comes to Wood, who kicks the centre half forward. Ball punched to ground. A chance here for the Bulldogs. Dalhouse has it. Can't break the tackle, but gets a kick away. It bounces to full forward. Higgins goes to ground. Lots of pressure from both teams. Umpire's letting it go in these scrimmages a fair while. This time he's going to ball it up right in front. Fair few bruises being handed out.
You're right. I mean, the intensity's right up, isn't it? Both sides, yep. No different. And it's moved very quickly. Once they break out of this clearance situation, the ball flies from one end to the other.
Full forward for the Dogs. They have the only score behind so far. Wood knocks it clear of the pack. Griffin's onto it. Kicked in a heartbeat. Hit the posts. Lightning stuff from hand to foot, but he's found the woodwork. 2 behinds the Dogs.
Well, they look to be doing well where their strength is, Western Bulldogs. Their midfield and clearance work has been terrific. They've got the numbers. They're working hard. Created some really good stuff out of very tight situations. Really good.
Marty Clark kicks in a bullet, and just as well Keith was on the go because he dived to take it. Still deep inside defence. He kicks it up short of centre wing, but he's given it up, and Hargrave takes the mark, making a return today for the Dogs. Kick by Hargrave back towards the pocket. Leaping, no mark. Here's Dalhouse again, roving at the front. He tries to bumble the ball towards goal and gets it pretty close, and it goes through for a behind, missing to the near side. So the Doggies are 2 behinds, and Collingwood yet to score after 6.5 minutes.
Heath Shaw went immediately from the kick in. A couple of bounces and long for Reid. He was spoiled though by Austin, and the ball's in dispute at half forward for the Dogs again. Sherman pushes on really hard at ground level. Didn't quite create anything though. Shaw gets it back for the Pies. Whacks it onto the boot. Around the wing, Vez Premi has best position. He takes the intercepting mark. He shares it with Hargrave and gets it back and distributes it on again. A bit untidy from Addison in the tackle, and they've lost at the Dogs. Goldsack threatens to get through. He's not through yet. Addison got him. Wins holding the ball. The Dogs claim the advantage. They might wish they hadn't. Cross to Cooney, who's in a tackle. Hand pass back inboard to Wood. Hurried kick inside the 50. It bounces past Jones, and there it breaks down as Clark will share it with Shaw in defence.
Shaw at half-back flank. Half-distance pass. Side-bottom marks, but the hand pass missed Beams. Beams after it at ground level. Hand pass to Maxwell. Back to side-bottom, bursting through the middle. He kicks to half-forward, but the kick's astray. And Lake started all right tonight and marks another opposition kick. The kick by Lake out towards the city wing lands in no man's land. Taken by Keith for Collingwood. Up to Ben Johnson. His left footer to side-bottom. Prominent early, who marks near the frontage of the centre square. Kick by side-bottom to open space, and the mark to Goldsack right in front, 40 out.
And that's going to be the result of every long bomb that goes into the Western Bulldogs forward line. You know, the two just grabbed it and kicked it. I know they're under reasonable pressure, but a high kick like that with numbers back and size against them is just going to come ricocheting back out.
So Tyson Goldsack, who was used as a defensive forward on Anzac Day, not a great record at kicking goals. He's got a great chance here. 45 out right in front. He nails it. A beautiful goal. Just his 9th in a 75-game career. Collingwood a goal, the Bulldogs 3 behinds.
Well, both teams are up and about. It's been a fantastic game thus far. The ball's been zinging around like a pinball machine. Big errors in the midfield. Transition quickly by Collingwood forward. Bulldogs just dropped off that percent. Goldsack by himself goal. The transition from attack to defend has got to be fluent on this ground. And Collingwood just did it a bit better than Bulldogs at that point in time. But the Bulldogs are going to have to sustain this intensity if they're going to be able to compete on an even playing field with Collingwood. But so far, a fantastic game.
Chris Connolly on Grandstander AFL. The Pies by 3 points. Bounce back in the middle of Docklands. Wood and Minson. Minson flicked it out to the side. Boyd with a quick hand pass. Wellingham got a play in there to keep it in dispute. Boyd gets it back. He kicks up inside the 50. There's a lot of holding on being done, and Higgins is going to come up with the free kick. Maxwell's livid with the way that was called.
Well, I think I'm with the Collingwood captain. I might have seen it differently to everybody else, but I know he's the backman on the forward, but he had the best position. There was no need for him to hold. And Higgins is not the quickest bloke. Started in a bad position, somehow got to the front by dragging on the Collingwood captain. So I think he kept a bit fortunate. I've seen it differently. I'd like to see the replay.
It's an important kick for goal, and he's coming off the Michael Holding Long run here.
Sean
It's a
Higgins.
very, very important kick for goal.
Higgins with some full momentum through the 50. Delivers at the target. Beautiful. And the Dogs get some reward for 10 minutes of good toil. 139 to 1 straight.
He's just broken my theory, Chris. I've been watching this year. Every player who goes back further from the mark than the mark is from the goal scores a point. Yeah, he didn't go quite. There was a fair distance between the. He had to jump into that one, but he came back a long way. So Michael holding right. I worry about it. I reckon the longer you've got to wind up as you run into woods and mark, the more you're likely to think negative thoughts.
Yeah, that was a beautiful kick.
It was a good kick, and he is a good converter. He's got a history of it. I think if we looked him up, I think he's pretty good at it.
Well,
no, he's only kicked 4-7 this year.
One thing about the Bulldogs, they're playing a front six. They're not allowing Collingwood to zone off.
Dogs by 3 points. And they win in the middle. Ball comes to Cooney. Gets the hand pass away. Rough head. Wrestled to ground. No prior opportunity, says the umpire. The ball pinned in. Not a bad tackle by Wellingham on a much bigger man. And another stoppage alongside the circles. Dogs 1-3. The Pies 1 goal. Crowds build up by about 2,500 since the game started. Roughhead wins the tap, but it comes to Pendlebury of Collingwood. Awkward bouncing ball, but dished out by Swan. To half-forward flank. Shaw making a return after missing 2 weeks. Just gets boot to ball and gains about 35 metres as the ball flops over the boundary line just outside the attacking 50 for a throw-in at half-forward for the Pies.
Roughhead to contest against Wood. Now that inclusion for Jolly. Wood gets his hand to it, down to Swan. Hand pass forward to the play, cut off though by Cross for the Dogs. And he gives it to Griffin. Has a bounce through full-back and needs the kick on the way out. There's nothing over there for him. There's 4 Magpies against Sherman. Sherman does okay. He works the hand pass to Hargrave. Back to Griffin. Looking for a better decision this time. His hand pass to Liberatore was okay, and the kick around the outer side will clear the initial pack. There's a push, and it's a Bulldogs free kick going the way of Jones. So they have the ball at halfway.
Kick by Liam Jones. Oh, straight out of bounds. Strike me, that's into the trees. Player provisional.
Look, and Liam Jarrans has been the best contested marker inside forward 50 for the Bulldogs, but if we can't tidy that area of his game up, he'll be a liability, David.
Particularly when he's taking the marks on the wing, Chris.
Ben Johnson the free. Short pass. Beams marks. Gee, they've got some space here. Sinclair marks. Forward to the wing. Got runners going past. Pendlebury off the left. Long to the forward pocket. Wellingham is there. And a spore put on by Addison, who gets to the ball and sees it over the boundary line. Forward pocket for Collingwood, who trail by 3. The Dogs 1-3. Collingwood 1 goal, and we've been playing 13 minutes.
Hoyt back into play. Dawes contests in the ruck. Roughhead pushed it down. Pendlebury got hold of it. Hand passed out the back of the pack. Johnson couldn't handle it. Murphy does. He's tackled. Dispossessed. Liberatore tried. Wellingham as well. It gets away from them and over the boundary. So still near enough to the left forward pockets.
Swan only 2 touches.
Collingwood pushing to the Coventry end. Pendlebury gets hold of it at the bottom of the stoppage. Hand pass was indiscriminate. Liberatore released Murphy. Kicked in a hurry. He's kicked out wide and he's done well because Higgins right on the paint is gathering and playing on. He veered inboard. Picked out Jakura. Jakura wants to fire off the hand pass back to Higgins, who kept coming. He's had a bounce coming through the middle. Long kick in the Minson direction. It bounces inside the 50. Austin is there as well, but Keith out-positioned them. Pushed it away, played the ball well. Minson gets a hand in there against Shaw. Shaw hand passes to Fasolo and the Pies get out.
Brilliant hand pass by Shaw. Fasolo all the way to half-forward. Cloak out number 2-1. Front-on challenge might have been worth a free. Every Collingwood fan says it is a free. The umpire doesn't agree. It's a throw-in.
The third man over did very well, was it? Hargraves, who came over the top and made it a 2-on-1, and Cloak not only didn't take the mark, got a hiding physically at the same time.
And they thought it was a free again when they saw the replay. From the boundary throw-in, it comes to Fasolo, who runs out of room. And it's back out of bounds for another throw-in, same spot. That'll warm the Collingwood fans. It just get the vocal cords going early. It's 1-3 to 1 goal, and we've been playing 14 and a half minutes.
Thrown in, Roughhead guided it down to the front, then had to win his own ball. Hand pass to the opposition. Side bottom kicks it up and down just about on the spot. Roughhead lunges through the pack with a punch. It's creative. Jakura trying to paddle in front of himself. Cut off though by Tuvi. And while he was in the middle of the ground, he was just about the last line of resistance. He used Buckley. It came out now and was tumbled forward by Wood. Rolled up to half forward. Ends there. Sherman gets hold of it for the Dogs. Off to Cooney. Kick in the Higgins direction. Maxwell onto the spoil. We're stuck a bit here on the broadcast side. Side bottom looking to open play up for Buckley. Ran into Dalhouse. Kick wasn't great. Murphy gliding through for the Dogs off half back. Hand pass to Wood. He can run the gauntlet up the middle. He's had a bounce. Feeds it to Sherman. Runs on to try to get it back. The hand pass went a bit further. Hargrave closes on half forward. Kicks for all he's worth from 50. It's all on the bounce and it won't go his way. It's a behind. One for the Dogs, one straight the Pies.
And it's going to cost them, isn't it? You can smell it now. 1-4 instead of being 4-1 because they're all been gettable except for one.
That ball, cost you. It could have been ran a bit deeper and get a better shot off a goal.
Easy.
Clark kicks in, looking for Sinclair, who leaps and nearly takes a good mark. Swept off the deck by Pendlebury. A centering ball is just over the head of Beams, and the mark's taken by Roughhead for the Dogs. Now it opens up down the city side, but his kick's astray. Misses Hargraves, taken by Gian Siracusa. In between wing and half forward. He kicks down towards the pocket. Brown in his opponent's back. Comes Collingwood's way. There's no whistle on the play. He can pretty much get away with murder here tonight, and the hand pass goes out of play. And we'll have a throw in at half-back flank for the Pies.
Well, Roughhead's kick, not only did it miss him, it missed him on the wrong side, missed him on the defensive side by 7 metres. Everybody gets back behind the play.
Roughhead just about took it out of the ruck, fumbled it at the last. By the time he got hold of it, they all had hold of him. Gian Siracusa out of the pack. He's gained 20 metres and put it back out of play.
Look, I think the clearances have been a fantastic contest.
Yeah,
but the difference has been that connections inside forward 50 for the Bulldogs haven't been there, and that reflects their youth as much as anything.
Agreed.
At the throw in, Wood got his hand to it first for Collingwood. Picken doing all the work under the pack. Griffin, he got clipped high and will come up with a free kick.
Thought he ducked his head into it, but anyway. We've got a... well, he did duck his head into it.
He's used the short pass here.
We've got a contest.
And
look, they're up and about. Look, I think if you're a Bulldog supporter, you'd be wrapped in what you've seen out here. We know you've had some minor errors in the front half. There have been a few transition errors, but, gee, the intensity, the excitement. Some good young players, the Bulldogs.
Wouldn't want the skipper any further from home. Boyd from right at the paint of 50 lofts the drop punt long and strong. And he's kicked the Bulldogs seconds. They're out by 10 points. 2-4 to 1 straight after 18 minutes.
And Jared, that is leadership at the highest level, isn't it? I mean, they know they've worked hard. They know they've created opportunity. They know they've mucked up 3 or 4 chances, and the captain goes back and delivers a telling blow, a magnificent kick over distance, straight through the middle. That's what great captaincy and great leadership is all about, delivering what you have to deliver at the time you have to deliver it.
Swans off the bench for the second time, just 2 possessions. But he's gone straight to the midfield. 16-6, the Bulldogs lead. They were goalless in the first quarter last week in Canberra against GWS. The bouncy is no good, and the umpire will recall it and throw it in the air. That favoured Minson too clearly. So 2-4 to 1 goal. The Bulldogs, 6 scoring shots to 1. Minson camped underneath this and wins the hit out. Comes to Picken, who comes to a dead end and loses it. Vespremi has a touch. Johnson runs onto it for Collingwood at centre half forward. His hand pass astray. Liberatore there. Comes back to Libba. He's over it. Dishes out a hand pass. Comes to Picken. Sherman. And they've run it out beautifully. Out of defence. Comes to Wood, who does a bit of a U-turn. Back to Murphy, who goes backwards as well. Back to Vespremi, inside defensive 50. With a kick for Jakura, which gets to him, a bit fortunately. And now Boyd a hand pass to Cross. Now they open it up. The kick to half forward. Cooney had a chance to mark. Pushing the back. There were hands from Brown. And the free kick to Cooney. In between wing and half forward.
Better kick to Cooney, wasn't it? Out in front of him. Gave him a chance with his speed to almost take it unmolested.
Brown really good on the mark. Cooney had to virtually kick around the corner to get it past him. Minson up in the ruck. It comes to Clark. Hand pass back to Keith. Right on the boundary line. He dishes up a kick towards halfback. Here's Swan dancing. Has possession. Gets the hand pass away. And they're off and running the Pies.
Beams will give the hand pass to Sidebottom. He's the ball carrier through centre half back. He's had a couple of bounces. He's got good protection. Takes another. Kicks now for Cloak. Too far out to threaten the goal front himself. Dawes is deep in the square. He's going to send it a little bit longer. Wellingham has made the space. He's got the jump. He got hands to it and he couldn't hang on. Boyd off the last line used Hargrave. Ran into a dead end, did Boyd. Dumping the tackle of Goldsack. Ball in dispute against the boundary. It'll be hard to settle without the umpire. It is going to be bounced.
Terrific game on the edge all the time. I know there have been some errors, but the pressure has been immense on Blakes. The hand pass has been coming out 100 mile an hour, not always accurate because the pressure is there.
Right forward pocket for Collingwood. Wood knocks it to the open side. Goldsack feeds the hand pass to Sidebottom. Worked it around the perimeter for Shaw, and he took the shot unerringly. Heath Shaw splits the middle. Collingwood with their second goal. The Bulldogs 2-4.
One thing about Heath Shaw is that when the ball is in the Collingwood forward line and there's a press up, as soon as Heath Shaw knows he's got coverage behind him, he leaves his opponent and goes to influence the contest. And we'll see that all over the midfield. That's why often you see him getting on the end of handballs to shoot for goal or getting in chains in the front half, because as soon as he knows he's got cover behind him, he charges forward to influence the play. And it's a real string to his bow that he's brought to his game.
Margin back to 4 points in favour of the Dogs. Minson beats Wood. Ball comes to Liberatore. Bursting through Pendlebury. Hand passes to himself. Gets the hand pass back to Tuvey, who's kicked a half forward. Bounces off Reed. Gives a hand pass to Shaw, the goal kicker. He runs into a dead end. Jakura does as well. Gets it to Vespremi, the former Swan, who loses it in traffic. Picked up by Buckley. Back to Tuvey. He's kicked a half forward for Solo. Hands to it but couldn't take the mark. Pressure everywhere in these contests. Comes to Picken, Jakura, and now Wood out of defence for the Dogs. Up towards centre wing. Awkward bouncing ball. Charging at it, Jones. Going the wrong way. Hand pass back to Liberatore near the circles. The son of a gun, kicked by Libba, towards full forward. Through Giansiracusa he goes. Here comes Dalhouse. Always exciting when he's near there, but it's gathered by Tuvey for the Pies.
He got it off to Maxwell, loose at the hand pass. Murphy trying to bat it to his own advantage, takes possession, hand pass to Dalhouse, works it around to Cooney, outside of the boot. He's kicked for Griffin near the goal square, and he took the contested mark. Ben Johnson was all over him. Ryan Griffin still plucked it out of the air.
He's having a purple patch. Best on last Saturday in Canberra and started like a rocket here tonight.
You called it, Jared. I mean, he was under immense pressure. Johnson's a good player and a good body player.
Griffin close in. That's good enough. The Dogs again by 10 points. 3-4 to 2 straight.
I must admit, I'm really enjoying it. It's got me on the front of my seat and on edge because I guess the uncertainty in the game is at such a level. I'm not sure where it's going to happen, and the speed of movement has been terrific. I haven't seen as quicker hands from both sides, mostly under extreme duress, but even when they're not, they're expecting it, so the ball comes out. We've seen 4 and 5 class handballs executed within a fraction of a second. It's been on the edge of your seat stuff.
Griffin, 8 possessions, 5 of them contested, a mark, 2 clearances, 3 tackles, and 1 goal won. 22 plays 12. The underdogs are in front. The bounce, won clearly by Big Will. Down to Sherman, back to Boyd. Out of the circles, up towards full forward. The punch down to the front. Dalhouse with Tuvey. Tuvey gets a hand to it. It comes to Minson. Did he throw it? Umpire! Oh, yes, it looked like it. And this is right in front, 40 out, but the ump didn't pay the throw, and there's a bit of to-do going on, and Libba's in there in the tradition of his father, just telling him who's boss.
Free kicks are 7-0, and it's just starting to pique the Magpie fans' interest. Minson swipes it well clear of the pack. It's a great creative tap. Pick into Jakura from the pocket. He rolls it. He can't get it home. Keeps the goalkeeper in the square. Jones has got him, dispossessed him. Jakura might have been pushed in the back. No, it's off hands and pushed through for a behind. Dogs by 11.
How do you expect to roll a lot of ground to go through when the two defenders standing on the line waiting for it? That's going to be a fluke to get it through their legs or between them. That was poor play.
Wellingham's kick up short of centre wing. Addison gets a hand of the ball. It gets 20 metres behind him. But it's taken by Best Premi. Back to Addison, but they've lost it. Picked up by side bottom for Collingwood. Out to Wellingham. He kicks towards full forward. Dawes caught behind. Man in front. Wood. Good mark. That is Wood of the Dogs. Hand pass away to Hargrave, to Murphy, to Boyd. Up to midfield. Dalhouse drops a mark he should have taken, but he recovers well. Back to Eastonwood, who dodges a tackle well. Finds Dalhouse once more behind the circles. Draws a man. Little hand pass away. Liberatore's kick to full forward. Excellent mark by the ex-Queenslander, Keefe. Terrific mark on Jones.
Keefe uses it short for Cameron Wood. Hand pass to Clark at centre half back. Just couldn't get where he wanted to, but he'll swing it out wide instead. Sinclair's in some space. Jakura's come from the bench. He got him! Holding the ball. Jakura closed him down from 25 metres away. That wouldn't have been out of place at stall.
Thief in the night.
And he stuck out on him through the gate, didn't he? He got off onto the ground through the gate and wasn't expected from there.
Back and forth with Addison. Jakura out the back with his kick now for Austin. Across half back for the Dogs. Hargrave. Hargrave will look outside the defensive area and find Cross. Sherman breaks down the field. The kick's got to cover 50 metres, and it will. Sherman's between the wing and right half forward. Griffin had made an expansive lead. He wasn't used. Sideways and patient instead for Liberatore. He's come off his line, so he's going to have to kick it inside the 50. Jan Siracusa was outnumbered. Cameron Wood's onto it for the Pies, and he uses O'Brien.
Harry, where's he been all night? He gives it to the skipper, gets it back. Harry on the run from centre half-back. Kicks towards Dawes. Oh, good mark. Getting back there in defence. Austin, well played. Kicks out wide and forward of the wing where Jakura takes the mark. Kicks down the line. Will be lucky to stay in. Higgins can't keep it in. And it's out just inside the 50. Bulldogs back into attack. They're 3-5 to 2 goals, so they've had most of the play. I'll tell you, the biggest cheer for the night will be Collingwood's first free kick. It's 8-0.
Inside 50's 15-9 the Dogs' way. And that's where it is again. Knocked to the side of the pack. Picken was trying to get hold of it. Kicked off the ground, though, by Clark to Sinclair. Beams, and now Shaw will break right through centre half back for Collingwood. The second bounce didn't come back. Cross disputed with him. Griffin got hold of the ball. Hand pass to Hargrave. Forward of the play. Cross against Clark. Cross committed himself. Clark bunted it away. Hargrave stays on the follow-up. Paddles toward goal. Cut off by Pendlebury. He'll use Reid and Clark, and the Pies will hold up on the way out. Shaw's the runner on the city wing. The ball won't sit like so much in this opening term. It just trickled further away from him and further, and finally over the line.
Things not quite going for the Pies. Boundary throw in. It is won by Roughhead. Comes Collingwood's way, though. Beams works it up. Dawes. There was interference, was there? No. So again, no free kick for Collingwood. And the Bulldogs bring it out of defence. Lake gets the ball across to Murphy. Murphy cornered in the back pocket by Johnson. Has to go across in front of goals. Beautifully delivered kick. Best Premi marks in the opposite back pocket. And he kicks out towards the 50 for Cross. He advances the ball, and a good mark taken by Roughhead. City side, in between half-back and wing. He goes a short ball out to Hargrave. It's 3-5 to 2 goals. 8 scoring shots to 2, but the Dogs only lead by 11 points. Kick by Ryan Hargrave. Pack gathers at centre wing. Clears them all. Comes through. And the kick is smothered, but it spills back to side bottom. It finds Tuvey. His kick to half forward. Marking contest. There's the siren just as Pendlebury gets a hand pass away. And the Pies trail at quarter time, and they've gone a whole quarter without a free kick. And the Bulldogs, who last week were goalless in the first quarter against the new boys, GWS, have kicked 3 goals to 2 in the opening quarter and lead by 11 points. The Bulldogs 3-5-23, Collingwood 2 goals 12. Whitey.
Yeah, just a little bit of a concern down here for the Western Bulldogs. Justin Sherman limped off just before that siren. Looks like he's favouring a left ankle or lower left leg. He's gone down to the rooms to be assessed. And Nathan Buckley was keeping a very close eye on him as he disappeared down the tunnel.
Goals for the Dogs to Matthew Boyd, Ryan Griffin and Sean Higgins. And for Collingwood, Tyson Goldsack kicked the goal in the first quarter, and a rare one for him, and Heath Shaw as well. At quarter time, the Dogs 3-5-23, the Pies 2 goals 12.
On Swan and Pendlebury.
And Swan is starting the second quarter on the bench. He's been there 3 times already.
Dogs by 11. Into the second term we go. Minson stands underneath it, wins the tap. Down to Griffin, gets his kick away, bouncing through half forward. Jan Syracuse gathered, shot the hand pass off to Chikura, sold the dummy round. Clark kicks it goal. It's a strong kick to the line, touched at the last. Pushed through by Maxwell. The margin is 2 goals neats.
Now Maxwell not sure where he's going to go. He goes to the City side, just outside the 50. Not a massive kick. Pendlebury might have taken a mark. It comes to Clark. Hand pass to Sidebottom, who kicks up towards centre wing. Oh, pushed by Cloak. It's in the back, and it's another Bulldogs free kick, this time to Lake. Frees are now 9-0. But that was dead set officially there. Kicked by Lake. Plenty of distance to half forward. Jones up high, but can't take the mark. O'Brien still trying to find the form that's eluded him this season, and the ball out of play.
Can you burn concrete? I reckon these fans, at the finish this continues on, they'll burn the stadium down.
Oh, yeah. They'll all be aware of it. Here's the throw-in. Wood for the Pies in the ruck. Does his own roving. Minson's got him. No whistle. Dalhouse in there tackling. Newspaper photographers love Luke Dalhouse because they always come up with the shot with the hair flying. Be on the back page of the paper tomorrow, even if he hardly gets a kick.
50 out from the Dogs' goal. Minson tried to knock it to advantage, failed. Sinclair to Clark to Beams, and he'll use Buckley on the way out. He boots it past the wing for the Pies. Lake won front position. Cloak had to go the spoil. He came up at the footy. Lake brought him down. It's a staring one-on-one duel, and they're held to a standstill by the umpire.
Well, he's done well, Lake. It's been a real contest. He'd be the least person I'd like to play him in the competition right now, Clark.
Minson again probably got his hand to that, but Buckley underfoot for the Pies. High ball to half forward. Eastonwood went the punch for Solo, seemed to be taken high. That's the first free kick to the Pies. It's the Collingwood version of the Hallelujah chorus. 65 from goal for Solo, gives it all he's got. It's right to the line. Dawes stood in a pack.
Well, the free kicks turn things around. Dawes hasn't had a touch. This is the first time he's touched leather. And straight after they get their first free kick, Dawes having a shot for goal.
I think he's only kicked 2 goals for the season. Is that right?
I think you're right. I can tell you very, very quickly.
2 goals 5.
2 goals 5. You're right.
It's a pretty important kick for him personally.
He'll surely kick this. It's only 7 or 8 metres out from goal. Dawes, he slams it through. Up into the second deck. The Pies pull one back at the start of the second term. 3 straight against the Dogs, 3-6. Adam White.
Now, Jared, Justin Sherman started the second quarter on the bench, having had that ankle looked at. He's now running the boundary. He looks okay. I'm sure he'll be coming back on, but just at the moment, he's having his fitness test.
And Swan comes back on.
14 kgs. Austin's the same height, and he gives Dawes 14 kgs in weight. And the finish was his strength to hold the, the drop zone from the ball. And that's where they hurt you. Big, strong blokes.
And that's where the Bulldogs have taken a punt. They've gone with a running team, and they're vulnerable in the contested marking situations.
Dawes 1 kick. Cloak 1 kick. Swan no kicks. Dogs have it in the middle. Comes to Murphy. Hand passed across. The Dogs are taking it right up to Collingwood, the hot favourites. Ball comes out to Addison, who's kicked towards half forward, and Brown's there for Collingwood. He goes up to take the mark at half back. And a 50-metre penalty with Gia getting over the mark. So things starting to go Collingwood's way. Couple of... and he bumps Gia over on his way to take his 50, which is about 70. Little hand pass to Swan. Still hasn't had a kick. Another hand pass to Wellingham. Off to Tuvey. An underground kick to full forward. A fumble gives Dawes a chance. Sinclair's in there to Beams, who ducks a high tackle. Follows up. Hand pass to Dawes. Off to Wellingham, who blazes for goal from in front and 40 out. And he's missed to the left-hand side. Pies first miss. They're 3-1. And the Dogs 3-6.
He's tried to bend that ball like that soccer goal we saw on TV the other day.
You're right, I looked at you and that's exactly what he did there.
Hargrave marked the kick in, went a little wider to Lake.
Bit more intensity from Collingwood this quarter.
Yes, it's up.
Have to share it around to the back, and Addison now adjacent to the defensive goal square, and his kick is smothered by Sinclair on the way out.
See, that's what you want your small forwards doing, David.
Oh, that was an enormous. Very brave too, because it was coming with incredible force, Chris.
And when the ball's in this area of the ground, Collingwood usually do get a shot off.
So the Pies have locked it in deep forward now to get something from it. Beams to Shaw at the stoppage. He'll bounce it near the goal square. It sits up high, too high. Lake gets hold of it for the Dogs. Fires the hand pass out into the pocket. Austin had to go and he didn't. He tried to pave the way. And Dawes got there instead. He wasn't able to winkle it away though. And it is out of play, 50 away from goal.
Much better intensity from Collingwood in the second term. Wood in the ruck with Minson. Comes to Murphy, who bats the ball back to Boyd. Off to Griffin, another possession. Short pass barely went the required 15, taken by Higgins. Hand pass into Murphy. Off to Cross, inside defensive 50. Addison, back he goes. Boyd, lots of possessions. Hargrave, Cross again, and they're out. The kick towards centre wing is well delivered, and Jones takes the mark on the City side. Open forward line. G is the only chance. With him is Keith, twice his size. Keith goes the punch. It comes to G and Siracusa. Hurried kick inside the 50. Jakura. But he runs out of ground with O'Brien. And the ball's over the boundary line and we'll have a throw in.
But even that matchup of Keith on G and Siracusa, I mean, such a mismatch in size. So
yeah, the kick was good. He couldn't get at it, could he? No.
Bulldogs by 5. They have it forward. Griffin got a touch, but not a disposal. At the bottom of the stoppage, it spilled away and went out of play.
And the longer it goes, Chris, you're right, the tighter they become, the less running they do, and the big blokes don't get any smaller.
Minson and Cameron Wood. Minson claims front position, knocked it down, but Beams was lurking forward for the Pies. High kick into the middle of the ground. Cloak came up, a bit uncoordinated with the lead. Left it there for Easton Wood, who broke away, got to 55, gave it the lots, and kicked the goal. Outstanding on the steal. The one-man play, Easton Wood. He resets the lead at 11 points. 4-6 to 3-1.
Well, he would have been in the last line of the press, wouldn't he, at the start of that? He was, I think, way out the back and has been brave enough to make the play, to get the run, and then good enough to actually, launch into it. It was a fabulous kick.
And that's what the defenders do if they've got an extra number to cover them. But Easton Wood's sidestep there to create space to get the shot off was outstanding. He's had a fantastic game.
Yeah.
This could end up a breakout game for this young man. He has been super impressive.
Well, that's his first score for the season, let alone goals, and just the 5th of his career. The bounce in the middle. Minson wins. Socket off the ground by Swan, so we'll give him his first kick for the game. Finishes up with Buckley, who bursts through the middle. Simon, not Nathan. The kick inside the 50. Crashes off the forwards. Comes back to the paint of the 50. Grabbed by Liberatore. Hand pass to Boyd. Flicked on the hand pass to Murphy. Oh, on the run here, Vespremi, who showed him the ball and took it away. The Dogs playing with great confidence here. Dalhouse takes them on. Swivels the hips and gets clean air. Kicks to full forward. Beautiful. Oh, G and Siracusa had a chance to take a mark, but he was unlucky this time. Taken away by the Pies. Finishes up with Brown in the back pocket, and he kicks to defensive 50, where Sidebottom takes a mark. Terrific game. 11-point lead to the Dogs.
Sidebottom dinked it down the line for Swan. Out against the boundary at left half back. Buckley's the short option. He gives ground instead on the squaring ball. And Tuvey looking down the line, sits it up a little high, didn't do Cameron Wood any favours whatsoever, and Boyd was able to drift in and take the mark.
What hasn't worked is Reid going forward to this point. He's had made no influence on the game at all.
Boyd hugged the boundary and he was probably looking to get it back out of play for a stoppage, but Tuvey thought better of it. He took the intercepting mark, kicks it up for Fasolo. He's got a few numbers working for him. He delivers it, lace out. Cloak drops what he should have taken. That's the second time in a minute and a half. Fasolo fights at ground level and sort of pushed it out to the side. Pendlebury's held by 2 or 3 of them as soon as he picked it up. And it will be bounced on the wing. Adam White.
Jared, not for the first time. Collingwood really mucking things up on the bench. They had 4 off the ground before, just showing they're a little disorganised through the midfield.
Buckley gathers for Collingwood, sweeps a hand pass to Shaw inside the square. He kicks long towards the forward pocket, and a terrific mark is taken by the aforementioned, moving forward.
And who against young Wood, who's been dominating. So I've turned the tide for him. He's okay now.
So this is Ben Reid, who's marked on the 50, about 2 steps in from the boundary line.
See if he kicks any better than his brother.
Kick by Reid is away to the left. Didn't miss by a long way. Misses to the near side.
I just feel the Collingwood forward line's a little unbalanced. 3 talls. Goldsack is probably a defensive forward. Fasola and Sinclair as the 2 coming forwards. They lack, when their midfield's up and about, then in the forward line you see a Pendlebury, a Swan, a Didac. They just lack that class at ground level they've shown in the last few years.
Dogs by 10, long on the kick in. It's in dispute. Addison nudged it forward, and all's well that ends well as the Dogs build from the wing. Higgins gets hold of it. He's kicking for Minson, who stole a march 55 from goal. He'll look inboard or forward. Jakura was the lead up. The deep player is Dullhouse against Dawes. Unlikely. Dullhouse got hold of it. Hand pass to Jones. Released it for Cooney. Got it off to Dullhouse. Snapped from the pack. Into the post.
Oh, dear.
It was all to be had. And Dullhouse has found the padding. The Dogs by 11.
He's a stepper. He can find himself in space. Make space for himself. Kick by Johnson over half-back flank. Another free kick to Collingwood. This time it goes to Maxwell, the skipper. The frees are now 9-2.
Yeah, the big bloke was at the back, Wood, and he just shoved by his opponent. And I guess they don't want the ball in his hand, but that's who's got it.
So Wood takes the kick. Over centre wing. No mark. Off hands. It comes away here to Sherman. Up towards centre wing. Boyd was too slow. Caught by Fasolo from behind, holding the ball. Great rundown tackle on the wing. Fasolo squares it in. Higgins takes the mark for the Dogs. Off to Sherman. Open space here. Jones on the 50. One hand not enough. Now he becomes the tackler on Tuvey. Gouges the ball free, but he didn't have the ball, Tuvey, said the umpire. Another free kick to Collingwood. After the freeze had been 9-0, they now get to, 9-4.
3 tackles for Collingwood, shrugged. Major turnover by Fasola. Just got to get back to the basics.
Tuvey's kick to the wing. Pendlebury from behind. Does enough to spoil it. Comes to Wood of Collingwood. Squaring ball inside the centre square. Johnson receives a hand pass at 100 miles an hour. Off to side bottom. Pokes the ball out into open space. Ball sits up beautifully for Boyd, who on the turn kicks over the wing. It lands on its point. Sits up in the air again. Might have bounced off a head. Now a little hand pass by Jones is intercepted here by Collingwood. And they've turned it up again. Straight to Liberatore. Kicks back to full forward. Big Will. One hand, not enough. And the crumbs to Shaw of Collingwood.
He kicks it to Keith on the way out at full stretch to pull in the mark.
He's got beautiful hands, Keith, hasn't he? I know he's a best interceptor kick in the competition, but he's really playing well.
He burned a few options going backward and kicks long in the cloak direction. Lake had him well marked. Pushed it away and got it out of play. Adam White.
It's Collingwood's time to have a little bit of a concern with an injury. It's Ben Johnson with what appears to be a right shoulder injury. He's taken himself from the field.
Dogs by 11 from the throw-in. Bit of a skirmish underneath the pack. Hard to make anything out of that. And the umpire circled and required to do it again.
Well, the pace hasn't dropped off at all, Chris. I think the intensity is exactly the same as it was 3 minutes into the first quarter.
We are now coming up to the 14-minute mark of the second term. Cameron Wood jumps all over his opponents to win the tap. Liberatore, though, sharked the footy. Hand pass to Boyd. Kicked it to half forward. Pushed away from Higgins. Maxwell is onto it for Collingwood. Kicks long up to half forward, but Addison saw it coming. And he's able to take the intercepting mark.
They've kicked 1 goal to each in this second quarter. Comes to Wood at halfback. Across the ground he goes, where it's taken by Roughhead. He kicks towards the City wing and Cross takes the mark. Looking to get it quick. No, well, he would have been good if he'd got it to the forward line quickly. No, he waited, and it was pretty well done, as a matter of fact. And Roughhead has followed up and takes the mark at left half forward.
Great running. He ran 100 metres across the field to create an option.
Jordan Roughhead goes the short pass. Oh, it's over the head of Gian Syracuse, who was leading, and he might have been scragged there by O'Brien, and the ball bounces end on end and goes out of bounds. Forward pocket. 31 plays 20. The Bulldogs surprising the Pies.
At the throw-in, Shaw gets hold of it for Collingwood. Kicks on the swivel, coming out of defence, and he's kicked it out of bounds on the full.
That kick inside 50 a Roughhead. One thing that bugs me, David, ruckmen think they're Barry Cable when they got the ball kicking inside 50. I'll tell you, it's a common trait with all ruckmen.
He tried to do what he wasn't capable of doing.
They don't get many kicks, so when they get them, they want to make the best kick of the day.
Cross is too far out to trouble the scorers himself, and he's going to give plenty of ground to try to switch the angle. He's gone back to Lake. Hand pass forward to Murphy. He'll put it into the forward pocket. It's a Collingwood stronghold, and Keith takes the mark again in defence.
I love this young bloke.
Yeah, no, he's a beauty. He's played on smalls and talls,
Yeah.
Gian Syracuse, then the ruckman. He's 200 centimetres and can move really well.
Off a couple of steps, he's lobbed it outside the defensive area. Not to great effect. Murphy settled for the spoil rather than the mark, and it's back out of play. Adam White.
So Ben Johnson, Jared, has gone down to have that. I think it's shoulder, it could be arm, but it's going to be assessed down the tunnel.
At the boundary throw in, Wood of Collingwood gets a hand to it, but it comes the Bulldogs' way. Griffin's kick inside 50, helped on by Minson, punched away by Brown, but he hasn't cleared the area. Off the ground, overrun by Higgins. Clark gets a hand pass out to Buckley, further to Shaw, who cruises outside the 50 and pokes a little pass up. Reed almost a mark, but he got a push in the back from Hargrave, and he'll win the free kick.
I'll tell you what I've liked about this, Drew, is the game's being played in the Western Bulldogs front half. Their back six can rest, so now they can rotate the midfield more, and Collingwood's defence is getting run into the ground as we speak.
Well, after the free kicks had been 9-0, they're now 9-5. Collingwood catching up. The ball's at half forward for Collingwood. Comes to Pendlebury. Oh, was he legged by Boyd? Crowd thought yes. Umpire said no. Cooney, little hand pass to Liberatore. Puts out a hand pass in front, which comes unstuck. Taken here. Hand pass by Goldsack to Swan. Inside the 50. Swan's not used to getting a kick. Hardly had a kick tonight. And the Bulldogs out again. Hargrave marks at half-back to Sherman. Standing start, just hoists it high for Jones. He's caught behind it, somehow marks! No, play on, said the umpire. Didn't get first touch. Hurriedly boots the ball, and Griffin's covered a mile, takes a mark, kicks to full forward. Gia's there, the ball might score anyway. Gia Syracuse gets the goal, almost by accident. He had a fly hack at it, half missed it, and with the second attempt right on the line, got the goal.
Well, the Moons are lining up. I mean, the ball hit the back of Liam Jones's arm and it rolled up like the Harlem Globetrotters up around the back of his. I would have paid it just for the. It's like a party trick.
So the umpire saw it right, but the kid got a possession that he probably shouldn't have got.
And then there's a quick kick, mark, and then Gian Syracuse is on the bolt, and the ball bounces the right way, and you know things are working out for the Bulldogs. But I tell you what, if they drop their guard, David.
Oh yeah, they'll go to mob will come. There's no doubt about it. Was it Ryan Griffin who turned on his left and whacked that? Was it Griffin? A Griffin kick?
He did.
How good was that on his left? Saw it and gave it, and it went 55 metres.
Gee, he stood on it the first occasion, stopped it, and then kicked it on the follow-through.
Yeah.
Free kick in the middle going the Dogs' way. Roughhead in the ruck. Uses it at a hand pass. Griffin with the long kick inside the 50. Have they got a marking target? Jones couldn't get into it. Gian Syracuse, a hand pass to Dullhouse. He can sniff a goal. He takes the flying shot, but Harry O'Brien drifts back to take the mark near the behind post. Andy trots away, ran his full measure, kicked for Ben Reid, and finds him at left half back. Dogs by 17. Down the line with a kick for Swan at full stretch. He's been paid the mark. He comes up with the yellow paint on the white jumper.
Fresh paint.
Forward for Buckley.
Got a yellow streak, Swanee.
He has, right where you don't want it.
Buckley long inside the 50. Dawes wasn't in a good position. Lake took hold of it, turned back into the traffic. Hand pass to Boyd, didn't clear it. Pendlebury on the intercept. His hand pass was false. It does, though, land with side bottom. Instinctively at goal. And that is fine work from the boundary by Steele's side bottom. And they needed it, Collingwood. Manufacturing goals. 4-2-26 to the Bulldogs. 5-7-37 approaching time on of the second.
It's one of the few times that a desperate exchange of handballs in defence has just had a touch which has dropped down. Pendlebury couldn't get away. It spilled out the side bottom. He had no time to think or to actually sum it up. And it was a beautiful, from the right side, off the back of the ball, a big, round, curved ball. Nearly as good as that. The greatest goal I've ever seen in any sport was the one kicked on, whenever it was, Tuesday night.
And, you can't teach those things. He was off balance. But still, side bottom likes this ground. He kicked 10 goals for Murray Bushrange in the grand final.
That's right, he did too.
This ball comes to Swan in the middle. Not sure we can give him a possession for that. He attempted a hand pass back into the bullseye. Liberatore's in there over the ball. The umpire will bounce again.
But I think Jared hit the nail on the head. It was a manufactured goal, and you're not going to get a lot of those.
No, that's true.
Hardly any room. A lot of players around this bounce. Up she goes. Might give it to Wood, but it comes to Cooney. Gouges out a hand pass taken by Clark of Collingwood. A little hand pass to Tooby. Long kick to centre half forward. Dawes is there. He's in poor touch this season so far, but it's going goalwards for Collingwood. Cloak paddles the ball out, taken by Beams. Beams from only 30, snaps for goal, offline, away to the right-hand side of behind. Collingwood go to 4-3, trailing the Dogs 5-7, 21 played second quarter. Adam White.
Drew, you'll see that Ben Johnson has come out. I still reckon that right arm is hanging a little bit, but it's always his little fitness test to see whether he can stay in the action.
Hargrave marks the kick in. He's deep in the back pockets. He'll have to kick it as far as he can and hope. Jones makes a big run at the pack. He has a fly. I'm not sure that he even touched it on the way through. Keefe gets hold of it at the back, and Collingwood go back inside the 50 on the kick. Hargrave, though, outmarks Reid. He wants to affect the switch across the face of goal. It had a little element of risk about it, but Lake does take the mark before Dawes can shut him down. He sends it back to Hargrave, who tries his luck up the middle for Vez Premi. Had Boyd short, didn't initially use him. Still has an option in Easton Wood. And he'll flare it left again for Lake, who's reached the defensive 50. He's called to play on. Hasn't got much to go to down the line. Very short with the pass for Cooney. So they protect the ball to get it outside that defensive area. And Cooney's going to run it straight back in. He's had a bounce. He gets a little lost. Hand pass to Griffin, who's hot. They've got him. They swarm. Shaw stuck the tackle. They did have a claim for holding the ball. It wasn't paid. Lake tries to hold it up. Shaw won't break clear. And it is trapped 50 from the Collingwood goal.
Should have been penalised just for shuffling the pack. The bounce just inside the 50. Collingwood in attack. Wood leans into his opponent, gets it down to Wellingham. Little paddle to side bottom. He loses it. Boyd carried forward in the tackle. Play on, said the umpire. Is going goalwards for Collingwood. Pendlebury's there, right over the ball. Comes out the back door. Wellingham. But Cross makes a contest with him, and the umpire will bounce.
Just that ball movement, Drew. What happens is you think, OK, I'll slow the ball movement down and work my way through the zone. But what happens with the zone, it evolves into a soft zone, and a soft zone is a man-up situation a few metres off your man.
Wood beats Minson down to Beams. Little hand pass to Pendlebury. His hand passes back to Johnson, who's running away from Dalhouse. In a bit of trouble. Just gets the hand pass back to Pendlebury. The kicks down towards the pocket. Goldsack in front, no mark. Comes the Dogs' way, but a poor hand pass. Nearly intercepted, and now a kick for goal by Dawes. Is marked right on the line, and no score. He was only about 25 metres out.
No, they decided to pay the behind on it, so it's a 9-point margin. Long kick out. Liberatore couldn't take the mark. Boyd, hand pass forward to the play. Jakura against O'Brien. Harrio knocked it out to Johnson. Worked it around to Clark. And backward to Reid. High ball up to half forward. Punched away from Reid. It was Brown who sent it down in that direction. And it's over the boundary. Adam White.
Gerald, it was really interesting before Travis Cloke came to the bench. He's really down on confidence, and Anthony Rocker was telling him, hands out in front, not try and mark on the chest.
60 from the Collingwood goal. Griffin gets hold of it, though, for the Dogs. His kick is intercepted by Buckley forward of the middle. Buckley has a look inside the forward setup. He's going to have to pump it in long. Cloke or Dawes, they both jump at it. Austin knocked it down. Swan stole it off the pack and runs it through. You can't keep a good man down for long. And the Magpies are within a kick. 5-4-34 to the Bulldogs. 5-7-37, approaching 25 minutes in the second term.
Well, that's the classic one that we talk about him. He ran, I reckon, 30 or 40 metres to get to the pack, got past it or through it on the outside, came off the back, read it better than anybody else, got it clean and clear of his opponent, was able to run in the kicking goal. He's just got a unique characteristic to read the aerial ball in flight, whether it's short or long, and be in the right place to get the drop. It's just unbelievable skill.
After a slow start, he's up to 10 possessions. The bounce in the middle, won by Minson. Now a crush at ground level. Umpire having a good look at it and is going to ball it up again. 37-34, 3-point lead to the Dogs. Whitey.
Drew, Brendan McCartney coaching from the bench today. Now, I know it's only his 6th game in charge, but I don't think he's done that so far in his short career.
Gee, he must be proud of the way his men are going at it. They lost their first 3, but they're going for 3 wins in a row. And this would upset everybody if they can beat Collingwood here tonight. Head out, comes out to Pendlebury. And past the side bottom. Out wide to Marty Clark. Down the line he goes. Man in front, Reed. Good spoil put on him by Hargrave. The ball out of play. And a throw in. 5-7 to 5-4. The Dogs leading by 3 points at the 26-minute mark of the second quarter.
At the throw-in, Minson wins front position. Beams got through the pack. He sort of lobbed it into the traffic, nudged forward by Sinclair. Wellingham trying to get forward of the play. He knocked it out in front of Goldsack, trying to turn his way back onto the right boot. He'll kick it up to full forward. Cloke is in the chop. He didn't mark. He gave away the free kick. Lake was pulled out of there unfairly. Cloke was just about off and on his way to goal.
The Collingwood fans are just about slashing the seats by now.
Lake into the back pocket for Murphy. Out for Liberatore. 35 from the defensive goal. Crosses the link in the chain at halfback. Jones out at the interchange gates. Heel mark. Pick and runs forward of the play. Jakura comes on the lead. Jones let it all dry up. And he kicks, hopefully, just a wafting ball for half forward. The spoil put on Jakura. It lands with Shaw. He hand passes to Buckley, whose kick is smothered by Picken. And the ricochet goes out of play with 90 seconds to play in the half.
I've been mesmerised. Pickett's coming off now. I was going to say I've been mesmerised by his workload. Up and down the ground in every incident. Works to the ball, with the ball, and after them with the ball.
Wood wins in ruck, but it comes to Gian Siracusa, who's wrapped up in a tackle. And the umpire to bounce again. Dogs led by 11 points at quarter time. They now lead by just 3 points close to half time. Low scoring, but really good. 5 goals each. What a contest. And the crowd might nearly touch 40,000 by the end. We started with about 34. Here's the bounce. Wood with the second attempt. Hits it out towards the wing. Wellingham gathers. Hand pass to Beam. Standing start, a high ball. Up to half forward. Cloke at his back to the play. Whistle's gone. It's going to be a Collingwood free kick. Advantage taken by Sinclair. He puts the ball out in front of Reed. It sits up for him and Reed kicks a rare goal. His first score for the year and just the 5th goal of his career. Ben Reed puts Collingwood in front.
And it's interesting, the contest between Reed and his opponent Wood absolutely dominated him in the first quarter and was one of their highest possession when it hasn't touched the ball basically in this quarter. And Reed, who'd struggled up forward, has now become a key part in the passage of balls in and through the goal. That's a terrific turnaround for Blake, and I was with you, thought their structure was wrong. He wasn't the right bloke to do it. Now he's having a real impact. But as we said, the early misses by the Western Bulldogs, all straightforward, simply now have become very, very costly in the context of the whole game.
So they got the lead as far as 17 points, but Collingwood in the shadows of half-time have claimed the fronts. Ball to be won in the middle. Liberatore got hold of it. He was pulled down, though, in the tackle. He has released it. Hasn't cleared the congestion, though. And the umpire patiently waited. Finally appeals the whistle.
I'm not sure if you saw this coming, Chris. I must admit I didn't. They've hit the front, and it's been a real workmanlike job to get there, because as you say, a lot of it's been manufactured. It's not very coordinated and cohesive.
Secondary bounce in the circles. Swan threatens to break through the pack. He did enough to get it to Beams. Beams bounces it inside the 50. Higgins out to meet it, though, for the Dogs. He blasts it downfield as far as he can. Jones was clean round the laces, but he gave it up in the tackle. Shaw whisks it away. Used Beams. Floats for Buckley. Brought down by Griffin. That's a saving move with the siren pending. The ball held up on the wing. Spills out of a pack. Cooney's hand pass battered down. It's a bit untidy. It's very untidy. And the bounce will end the half. So the Dogs led by 11 points at quarter time. And Collingwood will take this 3-point advantage to the main break. They kicked 4 goals in the term against the Bulldogs 2. Collingwood 6-4-40 to the Western Bulldogs 5-7-37. They're all individual goal kickers. For the Pies, Goldsack, Reid, Sidebottom, Dawes, Swan and Shaw. For the Dogs, Boyd, Higgins, Eastonwood, Jan Siracusa and Griffin. Collingwood by 3 points at half-time on Grandstand AFL.
He's doing the things that we know he can do. Yeah, they are better individually as they're playing, and their team performance has been pretty good.
3 points the margin in favour of Collingwood as we get underway for the second half. And the hit out is won by Wood. It comes to Swan of Collingwood. A kick goes nowhere, but Beams grabs it. Hand pass back to Buckley, who penetrates the 50. Ball taken high by Reid. He gets the hand pass down to Cloak, who has a flying hack for goal and kicks it out of bounds on the full from about 40 metres out right in front.
Thought he was under more pressure than he was. He had time to actually straighten up and kick it, and he just swung at it.
Collingwood 6-4-40 lead the Dogs 5-7-37.
It was a long kick out of defence, which didn't really come off because Cameron Wood got hold of it, used Buckley and on to Clark. He dinks it up to half forward and Beams gets hold of it. He's going to loft it in and see if the Timber can clunk a mark. Murphy came out to make the effective spoil. Dawes beautifully down to Sinclair and in the goal square. He opens the scoring with a major at the start of the third term. Collingwood punch out by 9 points, 7-4 to 5-7.
Well, young Sinclair is one of Nathan Buckley's very favourite players, David. I'm not sure you know that.
No, I did not know that.
And I mentioned last time I commentated against Collingwood, his dad did play for Melbourne, but with experience he's going to get better and better. He is going to the right spots. He's very disciplined in that way. He's got to tidy up his kicking, but when you're shooting from 15 metres out, you're going to kick a lot of goals. It ends up a great crumbing goal. The other thing with young Sinclair, he can change speed and chase out. He's probably the quickest player in the Collingwood football team. So, you know, they've found a player.
So his dad played for Melbourne. He went to Scotch College and he's finished up at Collingwood. Strike me. Lost his way somehow. Bounce will come back for a second one. Whitey?
Very confused young man.
Drew, Collingwood has activated the sub, so Ugle into the game. Johnson, as I mentioned, just before half-time, hurt either his arm or his shoulder. He is out.
So the umpire throws this one up in the middle. Minson wins and it comes back to him. Standing start, kick to centre half forward. Higgins in front, no mark. Comes down to Clark of Collingwood. Hand pass to Swan. He gets the hand pass away and Swan will get it back. In the old 1-2 with Keith. And Swan, a half-distance pass up to Pendlebury. Swan for the third time receives the hand pass and puts on the afterburners and gets away from Higgins. Great play by Swanee. Up towards Shaw and now Beams and a kick down the line marked by Cloak. That's about the best move Collingwood have done all night. Cloak on the boundary line, 70 out. He centres the ball. Dawes is there. What a mark over the top by Easton Wood. That's a fantastic mark. No position to take it.
He floats the hand pass to Hargrave in the back pocket. On he goes for Griffin. The kick outside the defensive area. Higgins had it spoiled by Shaw. Shaw ran onto it. Kick was smothered, though, by Griffin, who gets another touch. It's not terribly effective, though. Pendlebury knocks it back. Wellingham gets hold of it. Hand pass was terrible. Straight to Dalhouse. The Dogs get another look. Cross to Higgins. Wellingham comes at him. He slips away sufficiently to kick forward to the middle. Roughhead comes out. Maxwell downs him. Pendlebury hand passed over his head. Tooby dead set through that to Buckley. And the umpire was on the spot to see it.
He's listening to the broadcast, I reckon. Didn't respond until you called it, Jared.
So Picken takes the free kick, goes with a hand pass to Griffin, who kicks from the circles towards full forward. Ball comes to the front. Maxwell's hand pass to Clark, and they're out of it. Plenty of Collingwood players here. Mark taken by Swan, who started the second half on fire. Finds Beams, has a bounce through the logo centre wing, up to half forward. Second bounce, now kicks to full forward, shockingly, and the mark taken by, should have been taken by Austin. He's dropped it. A chance for Collingwood. Dawes grabs it, gives the old don't argue, gets the hand pass to Wellingham. Sinclair butts it on, but it's come unstuck. Lake has it near the goal square, nearly holding the ball. To Murphy. They're under pressure now, the Dogs' defence. And eventually the ball over the boundary line.
That was
Good
great
pressure by the Collingwood forwards.
Fabulous response from the Collingwood forwards. They just kept at it and wouldn't let it out. It was just a terrific team effort.
In the forward pocket, a chance to convert it into a goal. Sinclair gets hold of it. He dropped it in the Eastern Wood tackle. Minson kicks for some reprieve, and Cooney will take the mark, with O'Brien draped across his shoulders.
He's struggling, Harry. Hasn't hardly touched the ball.
Well, Cooney's gone for the very short pass. Higgins takes the mark. It is adjudged to be 15. He's up to use it into the middle. Eastern Wood is still running. He's going to bang it long in the John Syracuse direction. Use the body to free himself of Clark, and took the mark.
Eastern Wood, he's taken the fabulous mark against Fasola, who can jump, and Dawes. Remember the big mark he took in between those? He's carried it out there, and that is a delightful kick. Long and hard, over the top to advantage his forward. Super effort. This young bloke is a talent.
And Daniel Jean Saracusa is a real pro with his training, and he's improved with every year, and his body work there was sensational. He's outmanoeuvred Keith earlier in the day, early in the night. Great mark by him.
Yeah, this is non-negotiable for John Syracuse to halt a run of 4 goals against them. He curls it in neatly and pulls the deficit back to 3 points. The Dogs move to 6-7. The Pies are 7-4.
Well, you'd reckon if the goal, which they worked so hard to hold it in up here, Collingwood had scored then, that might have broken them. They needed that. That was a particularly important goal in the context of the game. I think the water was running very hard downhill the other way. So they'd be pleased in that to have cleaned it up. Did it beautifully. Great skill and precision. So let's hope it's a bit of a comeback, mini comeback.
The Dogs within 3 points. Swan comes off the bench and goes to the wing. At the moment being picked up by Sherman. Still got that yellow streak of the paint. Minson wins the hit out in the middle. But Buckley gets there for Collingwood. Shrugs a tackle and throws it on the right boot. Inside the 50 with the kick. It's up for grabs here for Collingwood. Got the hand pass by Cross to Murphy. He can't evade the tackle. Terrific effort by Goldsack. Murphy lost it and regained it. Kicks down the line. And Clark is there. Should have gobbled a mark and fumbled it. And a few Dogs come in and let him know. Yes. Won't want that on his CV.
From the throw-in, Minson had front position. Slide bottom got hold of the footy, though. Hand pass to Buckley. Balked the first. Evaded the next tackle. Kicks Collingwood inside the 50. Picken has to go over the top of Swan. Swan's at the back, trying to paddle to his own advantage. Ugle gets into the play. He's dragged down by Picken as soon as he got hold of it. Swan hand passed away from the pursuers, and it rolled out of play.
He's so dangerous, Dane Swan, in the front half, because you're going for a marking contest and you know, well, he's going to get a look there, but if it hits the deck, the odds are he's going to get straight back on it. It'd be hard to shift off it.
Cameron Wood knocks it down to Swan. Hand pass to Pendlebury. Didn't quite get to him. Side bottom onto it. Worked it to Buckley off a step. His kick was partially smothered. It's a contest out front of the goal square. Ugle got hold of it, dropped it. Vez Premi tackled him well. He held one arm in, gave Ugle no other option.
Kirk Ugle, the sub in the first half. Teenager playing just his second game. short pass comes to Sherman, who slides in and marks deep inside defensive 50. Gets the hand pass away to Liberatore, who kicks up towards the centre of the ground. Boyd marks and kicks long to full forward. Big chance here for Gia. There he is with O'Brien. They both go to ground. He is held, Gian Siracusa, and will take a free kick in front, 20 out. And a straight kick here by Daniel Gian Siracusa will put the Dogs back in front.
Their leg speed, just in that segment, didn't it, showed out again. They got off each of their opponents to create that.
Well, Boyd ran forward and then hook lead back up and just got let go, and there was no one in 15 metres of him when he got the ball. You got Matthew Boyd, the captain, forward, midfield, no one in 15 metres. He's going to kick to advantage. And Gian Siracusa is a terrific body user.
Harry O'Brien having a nightmare. Gian Siracusa for his third goal. He's got it just. So the Dogs haven't fallen away. They've come back hard and lead 49-46.
Well, all those that come back from their half-time cup of tea will be saying that bloke has no idea. And I actually said that beforehand. But look, it wasn't predictable in my opinion. I thought the game had got to the stage where they'd given it their best shot, and to be able to to pump up again in the sense of work rate and speed over the ground, all those things which are very easy to dissipate when the game's not going your way. They've actually made it happen for them, which is a terrific effort, because Collingwood got it very early at the start of this quarter and they fought their way back into it. Well done, Western Bulldogs.
David Parkin on grandstand AFL. It's the Dogs by 3, and that bounce will be coming back.
2 goals to 1 in this third quarter, and both of the Dogs' goals to Daniel Gian Siracusa.
Justin Schmidt bouncing here. Shane Stewart and Chris Donlan. The other umpires officiating. Thrown up. Well, neither ruckman really laid a glove on that. It was coming through. Hard to win underfoot. Swan, of course, does. He wedges out a kick to half forward. Fumbled by Vez Premi. He left it there for the Pies. Sinclair got it off to Buckley and now to Reid. He'll swing onto the left boot. Kick it up to full forward. Shaw!
Yeah. Great.
He's a menace when he gets forward. He was in a tussle with Griffin. Pushed off, propelled back, but it landed in his lap.
Oh. You called it right. It was just great judgment to finish. To hold his ground, then to push off and then launch himself backwards, really, to take the mark. It was a great player's effort, that one.
It was a difficult mark, and Griffin had done the best he could to spoil him.
Pete Shaw for his second. He's up to the task, and the Magpies reclaim the lead. 8-4 to 7-7. The Pies by 3.
But I thought the kick was fantastic to advantage. Because Collingwood do kick long into their forward line, they are one of the better teams at kicking long to advantage. So the ball was kind of goal side of Shaw, and Griffin was kind of more towards the centre than him. So Griffin was seriously out of position. It was a good effort to not give away a free kick in the end.
Yeah, but it was seriously out of position on the basis the kick was so good.
Yeah.
In basically half in front guarding him, but in finish the kick did him.
Yeah.
Another change in the lead. 2 goals each in this third quarter. Magpies lead by 3 points. Minson wins a hit out which landed virtually on his head. Swan fights hard at ground level with Liberatore. They have an arm wrestle.
Can Heath Shaw play on the ball, David, with Luke Ball and Cracker and these players not available?
I would have thought, though, he doesn't provide the inside stuff. He's a run and carrier too.
Yep.
This ball's knocked down to Beams, whose kick is smothered. Punch forward with Collingwood's way. Ugle does well. Good gather, going at 100 miles an hour away from goal. Back to Buckley, who kicked it into the crowd. So Buckley's effort wasn't as good as Ugle's. And a free kick will be taken for the Bulldogs here by Justin Sherman, the former Brisbane Lion. 52 to 49, Collingwood lead. Kicked by Sherman over the wing. Pack gathers. Jones in front. No mark. Comes out to Griffin. He's grabbed by one arm. Nearly holding it. Comes to Cooney. Off to Jones. Hand pass to Sherman. He kicks long. 2 against 2 inside the 50. Big punch away, and he's good at that, Nick Maxwell. He gets a knuckle to the ball and sees it safely out.
And
Go on.
Nick Maxwell was put onto Gene Siracusa because he was out manoeuvring the rest of the defenders.
Yeah, well, he's up that high. Should have grabbed the mark, in my opinion, if he's confident enough to do it.
45 from the Bulldogs goal, attacking the Footscray end. That's punched away and out of play by Minson in the ruck. Gained good meterage.
One thing the Bulldogs have done is not allow Collingwood to have an extra defender. They've had 6 forwards up front the whole night.
At the throw-in, Dawes claims front position. Minson got his hand to it, but Swan plucked the footy, kicked it outside the defensive area. Reid was manhandled by Hargrave. Ball in dispute. Addison knocked it on to Griffin. He'll set it up to the congestion. Full forward, Jakira jump. Probably should have marked. Higgins ran into the tackle of Shaw. Goal-saving stuff from the defender. Got him to a standstill. It'll be bounced 25 out from goal.
Gee, back from a hammy problem. He's sure you wouldn't know it. Here's the bounce. Big pack around it. Fly hack out of the air by Dalhouse. Goes nowhere. Finishes up with Sherman, who has a ping from a congested pack right in front, about 35 out. It's away to the left-hand side and through for a minor score. His first score for the night. And the margin's back to 2. The Pies lead by 2.
Or Harry O'Brien kicked it to himself. He fumbled, gets it back and delivers outside the area. In a nutshell, that's how he's travelling. Didn't find a teammate and Reid is hurt. There's Premi, used Griffin out wide to Sherman. Gets it onto the right boot and it's a good kick. Easton Wood working forward again. Hand pass to Griffin. Long range shot at goal. He hit it flush. Griffin with his second. The Dogs return to the front. 8-8 to 8-4 halfway through the third.
Yeah, sometimes get them mixed up now. They Boyd, Griffin and company. Cross, those 3 blokes who go through the middle of this. He's been a superb player, not only this quarter, not only tonight, but every time I see him play, he just works exceedingly hard and he's got great skill. That's a wonderful goal.
It's a great goal. I think he's gone up a level.
I
think he's gone up a level as a player. I think he's getting right up near the top grade now.
Yeah.
As good as you get.
Well, he's busted through the 100 Dream Team points barrier, and we are at the 15-minute mark of the third quarter. So if you've got Ryan Griffin, you are curling the moat.
He's captain of my team, so I'm
oh,
okay.
Well, you are sailing.
Is he in your team, Drew?
Don't tell Sam Mitchell I've done that.
Oh, Sammy, you didn't dump him, did you? The umpire, not for the first time, has had a poor bounce and now throws it up. Roughhead wins the tap down to Cooney. The kick towards half forward. Tooby works it across to Shaw, who breaks from defence, kicks out towards the city wing. Oh, Cloak's dropped another mark, but regathers and hooks it off the left. Oh, what a mark! Dawes takes a one-hander about 47 metres from goal. Cloak dropped a pudding and Dawes took a ripper.
That was a contrast between the two. One was out in front, he just couldn't take it, gently as it was, and the other one was just a one-hander in the turn. Very, very good mark.
Well, Chris Dawes really needs to kick this. He's kicked 1 goal, 1 tonight. He's had a shaky old start to the season. Premiership key forward. He kicks from about 50. It's away to the right-hand side and greeted by silence behind the goals. Behind. So Collingwood are 8-5 and the Bulldogs 8 goals 8.
Murphy's on the kick in. He's going long and strong. He liked the look of Cross. Wellingham got a hand in there, so the ball came to ground. Cross got hold of it. He used Cooney out to Easton Wood. He might give it back. No, he runs himself. Has a bounce. Sets it up in the Jan Siracusa direction. He leads to the ball. Free kick. Free kick to Gia. Minson claims the advantage. Higgins kicks the goal. What a move from one end to the other. Higgins with his second. And the Dogs are out by 9. 9-8 to 8-5. 17 played third term grandstand AFL.
I think when you follow a team and the opposite and you kick a point, this is the most nervous you get at this ground because you know that your defence is unbalanced and the ball can ricochet from the goal square to the next goal square within a shot, and that's what happened. And I think that reflects the experience of the Western Bulldogs on this ground as much as anything, David.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought of that issue, but that was done in a very, very methodical, very, very creative way. But their method is excellent, isn't it?
So Dawes' point at one end was very costly. The bounce in the middle is taken by Wood for Collingwood. Clean possession. Little kick up towards half forward. Gathered by Sherman, who finds Cross, who finds Boyd. Now to Hargrave, who kicks up towards half forward. Dalhouse in front. Taps it over his head away from Tooby, but it comes to Pendlebury. His hand pass is good to Sidebottom. Back to Pendlebury. Beauty up to Beams. Wide to Tooby. What a game. One way then the other. Kick by Tooby on the chest of Goldsack, who marks about 40 metres from goal.
That should be, he's a good kick, wasn't he? He was the kick in for a long time at Collingwood. I think he was the set after a point, and hits well within range, reasonable angle, but he will be very close to kick this one.
Crowd nearly 40,000, getting their money's worth tonight. Tyson Goldsack from about 48 metres. No, yes, he got it. They stayed silent for a long, long time, but he gets it home for his second goal of the night.
Well, it's a funny game. Football, Goldsack's played on the wing for the majority of this quarter and has slid forward and got a ball and kicked the goal. I thought their forward line was looking a bit more balanced with 3 crumbing forwards and 3 marking forwards, but they've been mixing it up, and it was a very important goal. And at the end of the day, I think the way this game's being slugged out, it'll be the conversion will be the difference.
Easton Wood's done a right hamstring, I think, Adam.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, it looks like that. He's taken himself off the field with the support of a trainer. He's gone straight down. So that'll be assessed. Ben Reid was another one that looked like he had a sore back from the marking contest. Got some treatment, straight back on.
He pulled up short. He was the player trailing Goldsack. Clutched at the right hamstring and the telltale sign. Back in the middle. Boyd gets hold of it, kicks the Dogs up to half forward, bouncing ball. Maxwell got hold of it. Hand pass to Clark, gives it off to Harry O'Brien. He kicks up to half forward. It favours Bob Murphy, and he'll take the mark. So the Dogs from half back. Short kick for Addison. Murphy on the follow-up, receives the hand pass. Veering run, and he switches play to the outer side for Sherman. Sherman's got the kick on down the line to Jan Syracusa. Short of half forward. Jones is on the long lead into the pocket. Reid thumped it away from him right against the boundary. Winkled forward by Cooney. Gained a bit of territory back out of play. This will be the right forward pocket for the Bulldogs. 62 to 59 they lead on the throw-in. Minson placed himself well, got hold of the footy, hand pass to the goal square. Cooney comes one way, Jones the other. The fly hack by Reid didn't go far. Griffin toted across the face of goal. Keefe gets there, Roughhead with him. Roughhead goes and gets the footy, hand pass to Griffin. 2-man tackle sees him out over the boundary. Adam White.
Jared, you should be a medical practitioner because Easton Wood is out of the game already. Mitch Wallace about to come in.
Wood two-fist the ball straight back out of bounds, and the Bulldogs players are saying, how about that for a free kick?
Well,
and I would have thought it should be.
On the full it is automatically, isn't it? But
I don't think it even needs to be on the full.
No, it has to be on the full, I think, for a definite
on the
free
full's the rule, and then if it's not, it's whether it's deliberate or not is the interpretation.
Well, wouldn't that be deliberate?
Well,
Collingwood standing start kick over centre wing. Dawes needs to work his way into the game. He's paddling it to his own advantage. Gathers near the 50. Hooks it up towards the goal square. Sinclair gives chase and kicks the goal. Collingwood back in front.
Now, one of the best conditioning coaches in the country who trains a lot of our sprinters, Adam Larkham, personally trained Ben Sinclair for 12 months. And he was already quick, but he's become super quick and is arguably the quickest player on the field, and it was just pure speed.
He started 5 or 6 metres behind his opponent.
It was like Stall Gift. He was at the back marker.
Yeah, he ran past Addison like he was the back marker.
Addison was well in front for a long time, but only run 25 metres. He beat him by 5.
Yeah, very quick.
Oh, very, very quick.
Collingwood 10-5-65, the Bulldogs 9-8-62, 22 on the clock in the third term. Out of the middle, Liberatore gets hold of it for the Dogs, kicks them up inside the 50. Roughhead pushes back against Keefe. Roughhead has it. Keefe just grabbed hold of the jumper at the last moment, and Jones fumbles the ball in the goal square, and the moment passes for the Doggies. Buckley's onto it. Hand pass to Brown. Kick in a hurry, a blind kick, out of bounds, surely deliberate. No.
Well, they've caned the Dogs in free kicks 16 to 6.
The boundary throw in right half forward for the Dogs. Minson to the front of the pack. Boyd, hand passed across. Kicked it around the corner. Not to advantage. Sidebottom flew one-handed and dropped it. Dullhouse pushes it away out of play. And they trap at 55 from goal.
Seesawing third quarter. Thrill a minute. The throw in at the Dogs half forward. Minson clean possession. Boot to ball. Jakera takes the mark in front and 47 metres out from goal. How do you find space like that?
Well, it's an important kick, but his disposal tonight has been a little bit messy, David.
I was going to say, I'm not back. I was looking at you to say I'm not sure whether distance and accuracy are within him.
Well, he just hasn't passed that theory that you came up with. So he is a chance. But I'll tell you what, he's coming off a fair run up here.
He kicks on the run from 50. Has he got the distance? Not quite. And it's seen through by Wood for a rush behind. 2 points the margin. Collingwood 65 to 63. 24 minutes played third quarter.
Swan marks the kick in. They press very heavily, the Dogs. Wellingham, though, gets off the chain. He offers across the face of goal. It bounces. He has to wait. Higgins got him. Surely holding the ball. He releases it out the side of the pack. Vez Premi was down without it.
He didn't give the first one, so he didn't have to wait too long to give the second one, did he?
One way, half a dozen the other. Vez Premi decides to have a ping from 52. He's near side, behind. It's Collingwood by a point.
See that kick in, David? Yep. Western Bulldogs would never do that kick in here at Etihad. That little 15, but it's an MCG kick in. The short one?
Short, wide one.
Yep.
Pendlebury marks the kick in. The Pies are going straight up the middle. A difference with Mick Malthouse and Nathan Buckley. It's taken by Sidebottom. He gets it out wide to Wellingham, who kicks from 56 metres to the goal square. Cloak, come on! Yes! A mark in the goal square. And they burned the turf down the centre corridor.
Well, that's a great mark in terms of a confidence builder, because Lake was giving it to him in every way, front, back and side.
Cloak extends the lead to 7 points with his first score for the night.
And I'm not sure what else he could have done.
Well, it was such a great kick from Wellingham, but again, it was that great long kick deep inside forward 50 that Collingwood do so well and give such an opportunity for their forwards to mark the ball or get a free kick. But kick-ins here, David, I'll tell you what, more kick-ins here score goals than anywhere else, and that's just straight down the middle. And that's why I said that Collingwood kick-in before that, just off to the side.
Inappropriate.
It's inappropriate for this ground. This is like a pinball machine out here, and you've got to get it straight up the middle. You got a pinball machine, David?
Never went straight up the middle of my pinball.
Collingwood by 7. Bounce. Minson gets the tap down to Picken. He's offloaded front on by Sidebottom. Wallace is into the game and he drifts through the middle, kicks inside the 50. O'Brien tracked it, didn't mark. Kicked off the ground by Brown. The chase is on for the Footy. Cross paddles it forward. Swan stands against him. Hand pass up near Sidebottom and out of play. 50 away from the Bulldogs' goal.
Collingwood spread well from that centre bounce. They do sustain the pressure with their spread from clearance, David.
Yep.
4 minutes to play in this third term. Cameron Wood knocked it to the back. Shaw took the contact and it was high.
7 free kicks in about 3/4 of football.
From the defensive 50. Shaw plays the City side for Pendlebury. Pendlebury's the wrong side of halfway. Ugle leads up at the logo. He'll cast his eyes forward. The Dogs have got a couple loose ahead of the play, so sideways and giving a little ground to Clark. Clark will hug the boundary on the kick. Cloak is into the game now. Crashes into that pack and takes the chest mark. He's still 2 decent kicks away from goal. He's going to give it what he's got and land it 25 out. They'll fly from everywhere. Dawes from one way, Maxwell the other. At the spill, trying to get a hold of it as Sidebottom. Hand passed out the back. Buckley off a step. Didn't quite get enough on it. And the lone man back is Brian Lake.
kicks it across the face of goal to Cross, who marks in the back pocket. He switches back towards the dock side of the ground, and Addison marks in the other back pocket. 71 plays 64, a 7-point lead to the Pies. The kick back to Lake as the Dogs tick down the clock. Now Lake advances the ball to Boyd, still inside defensive 50. It's been a ripping performance by the Dogs here tonight. They hadn't looked too good at the start of the season, losing their first 3, but they've come to play here tonight. Boyd's kick towards centre wing. Off hands it comes to Minson. Gets some sort of a hand pass out to, I think, Liberatore, is absolutely monstered and taken to ground.
Harry O'Brien and 2 of his mates, Keith being one, I think, and Wood, all went up. Minson is a ruckman, the big bloke, didn't even bother competing, just waited. They contested against each other and crumbed it. Fantastic effort.
Here's the bounce. It's won by Cameron Wood, fumbled by Pendlebury. So Wallace gets the ball, and Griffin kicks the Dogs down towards the 50, and it takes a bit of a leg break and goes out of play for a throw-in.
It'll be interesting, Drew. I think Woods rucked the whole day, the whole night. The whole game, Cameron Woods rucked. They've got the 3 up front, but someone's going to have to give him a spell.
Collingwood by 7. Dogs get it forward. Higgins took it out of the ruck. Hand passed in a hurry. Didn't create anything. It's underfoot and hard to win. Liberatore tried to find a way through. He couldn't.
Well, that's what Nathan Buckley wanted, wasn't it? He wasn't in the selected side originally, but he replaced Jolly and has worked very hard.
Well, Lee Brown would ruck and play forward, but Reid has just stayed forward as that third tall.
Bounce goes back over the ruckman's head. Roughhead knocked it down to Boyd. His kick went nowhere. Liberatore again ferreting at the bottom of a pack to no avail. So the Bulldogs are sort of trying to set what they see as their zone, and Griffin has put Boyd in the right place and Higgins signalling as well. Get their numbers defensive side of the pack and see if they can land a goal. Wallace comes through the pack. Hand pass to Liberatore. Kick up to full forward. Coming out as Jones threw himself at it. Orcheon Syracuse got taken high. No free kick. Ball skittles around 20 out from goal. The umpire to bounce. Tension building at the Footscray ends.
The Bulldogs can pinch one here.
Yeah,
it is game on with momentum into 3/4 time.
Here's the bounce. Wood knocks it away. Oh, Cross goes in really hard. Might have taken a high tackle from Shaw. Play on, said the umpire. And the ball out of bounds in the forward pocket for a throw-in.
Yeah, they've been a lot better than gallant, haven't they, Western Bulldogs? They've made the play for the longest period.
It's been their performance of the season. Wood wins the hit out. It comes. Oh, Pendlebury gets a bad bounce. Taken by Shaw, but his kick lands on the chest of Hargrave about 65 metres out from goal. And he kicks up towards the goal square. They set. Lake has gone forward and juggles and nearly takes the mark. Not quite. Comes down to ground level. Only 15 metres out from the Dogs' goal. Jakura works hard. Taken away from him by Buckley. Found more space than you're entitled to get there. But he's given it up and kicks it straight onto the chest of an advancing Hargrave, who again put up the wall and for the second time has taken a mark. But this time he's inside the 50 and his distance will score something, you'd reckon.
He's in range.
Oh, and Lake's effort to get down there. I want to talk about that.
Great effort.
So Ryan Hargrave, not far off centre. He kicks from 50. And home it goes for the goal. Margin back to a point.
I watched Lake. I mean, he was smart. They pressed in. He read it quick enough and ran furiously for about 80 metres to get into the contact. He very closely marked it, didn't he? He went with an ace of actually controlling it. Came down, but the moment it hit the ground, it was going to be a ground ball. He sprinted out in front of us here. He came another 50 or 60 metres to get into the zone to hold the thing back in there. It wasn't he that did it. It was somebody else in the zone further round. But it was a fantastic athletic effort to read it, get there, and then get out again as quickly as he could.
Been a great committed effort from the Western Bulldogs.
Oh, it has.
Hargrave's gone back to his position in the defensive goal square, so he was 150 metres away from his spot.
Collingwood by a point, dying stages of the third term. Boyd gets a kick out to half forward. Dalehouse knocked it on. Liberatore got hold of it and he coughed it up. Hand pass straight to Tuvey. Ordinary kick into the middle of the ground, but Beams made it okay. Sweep the hand pass out for Shaw, and that is 3/4 time, with things very much in the balance. Collingwood 11-5-71. The Western Bulldogs 10-10-70. A point in it at the final change. The goal kickers for the Pies, 2 each to Goldsack Sinclair and Shaw. Singles to Reed, Sidebottom, Dawes, Cloak and Swan. For the Dogs, 3 for Jan Siracusa, 2 each to Higgins and Griffin, and 1 for Boyd, Eastonwood, who's out of the game with a hamstring, and Hargrave. 3/4 time on Grandstand AFL. Collingwood leading the Western Bulldogs by 1 point.
Buckley 23, Swan 22 for the Dogs, Boyd with 26, Griffin 24, and 20s for Cross, Hargrave and Liberatore. Gerard Waitley for the last quarter.
Collingwood by a point at the bounce to open the term. Minson gets his hand to the first touch. Griffin hand passed it off to Boyd, who shot it around to Sherman, and now to Picken. He kicks up to half forward, a bit too strong for Jakura. Couldn't get hold of it. Pendlebury got through for the Pies. Hand pass to Clark, under pressure. He put it out near Buckley against the boundary. Oh, he's coughed it up again. Straight to Sherman, through Cooney, on to Griffin, and on to a behind. To tie the scores up from the best part of 50. Adam White.
Gerard, I reckon Collingwood's down to 2.5 on the bench. The reason I say that, Alex Fasolo, I think, has a knee injury. He limped to the bench. He'll be able to get out there, but he's certainly going to be well short of 100% fit.
They've already had Ben Johnson subbed out of the game. Marty Clark kicks up to half-back, and here's Cloak, who couldn't get near it in the first half, starting to come good and coming a long way down the ground to take a mark. Kick by Travis Cloak, over centre wing. They set themselves. There's no mark. Pendlebury off the ground. Beautiful hand pass to Dawes. Out wide he comes to Keefe on the forward line. 50 metres from goal. The kick down to the pocket. Ugle! Not quite the mark. Under pressure from Murphy, who got it away from him over the boundary line, and a throw in. 71 apiece.
Funny enough, that's a kick Keefe doesn't often do. He wouldn't practice that kick or do it much because it's not in the back half.
So Collingwood deep forward with a chance for the opener in the final term. Minson knocked it down. Cloak had it briefly, but not for long enough. Sherman off to Wallace. Kicks the Dogs out of the immediate danger. It trickles and bounces a long way down the field. And finally over the boundary line.
Lovely to see Blake and Pendlebury go down in a real crash down here into each other, 100 mile an hour, and Blake just lift him up, help him up on the ground. Don't see that often.
The ruckman only just make it to the contest. Wood won it down for Collingwood, but Griffin got it off to Wallace. Up to half forward. Cooney broke out of the pack with the footy. He kicks to full forward. Roughhead comes out. Spoil made on him. Brown is at the drop for the Pies, and they hold up again through Clark. And on now to Beams.
That was Griffin's 12th contested possession, David. That's why he's taken the next step.
It's fantastic.
He's 118 Dream Team points and building. Kick from Beams from half back to half forward. Dawes juggles and didn't complete the mark. Plays on. Hooks the ball up to centre half forward. It sits for Sidebottom. Outside of his boot to O'Brien up from defence. And Harry slides in and marks 45 from goal. Not far off centre. Unusual kick to find Harry.
They do it well, Collingwood. Like Sidebottom slid forward and waited and backed in his team to win the contested possession.
O'Brien kicks from about 48. Gives it a hook and hits the behind post on the full, so that is out of bounds. And the scores remain all tied up at the 3-minute mark of the last quarter. 71 apiece.
Sidebottom could have taken 3 big steps and drilled the goal himself.
Yes.
Well,
he chose not to.
He gave it to a man in the horrors, O'Brien.
Well, it might say something about his mentality too, Gerard. I think you're right.
Lake from the back pocket. Boots long. Austin was very untidy into the pack. He got away with it, but Collingwood still come up with the ball. Brown to Beams out the back of that pack. Put it up to Ugle. Front line of the centre square. He had Leeds go left, right and centre. He decided to bang it all the way to the goal square instead. It came underfoot. Free kick. Which way? Bulldogs free kick at fullback. Best Premi. Hargrave. Goodness me. I don't know what that was for.
Well, anytime you have to guess in this game, you've just got to say, oh, it's a Dogs free kick. It's the way it's been happening. Oh, Minson, good mark at half back near the boundary line. Free kicks are 18-7 in favour of the Dogs. Kicked by Minson. Higgins camped underneath it. But Sidebottom does well to get in and spoil. Cross misses with an attempted bunt down the ground. It's taken here by Reid, who kicks short to half forward. And Cloak again takes a mark, but he's too far out to score. Kick by Cloak. Just short of the goal square. Big pack sets themselves. No mark. Taken at the back. Little hand pass goes to Murphy. His pass is good. And the mark's claimed by Big Will. Into Cross. Going past Liberatore. High ball off the left. Not bad. Out towards centre wing. And the mark is hauled in by Roughhead. Higgins kept on coming. Receives the hand pass. Stuttering steps. Kicks inside the 50 for Dalehouse. No mark. It gets through to Gian Siracusa. And seen over the boundary line by Clark for a throw in the forward pocket.
Nathan Buckley has swapped Ben Reid to the back line and Lachlan Keefe to the forward line.
With scores level, the Dogs press. The throw in cleared the ruckman. Cameron Wood got a hand to it. Side bottom breaks through. Hand pass to Pendlebury. They get it out of the defensive area again. Long kick in the Keefe direction. He's out on the city wing. For Solos trundling up forward of the ball. He'll take the mark. Look inside the 50. Wellingham's the only man getting back, so he uses it short as a hand pass to Pendlebury. Gives it to O'Brien. Will the second time be a charm? No! He misses by, well, less than last time, but still never threatened a goal. The Magpies take the lead on the wonky kick.
And at the moment, Dane Swan is sitting on the bench, preparing himself for a big finish for this game. Tuvey goes up to attempt a mark. It doesn't come off. Down to Maxwell. Hand pass from Beams out wide to Buckley. He kicks to full forward. Punch from the Bulldogs' defence. Still there, though, for the Pies. Oh, it's taken by Fasolo. Hand pass to Dawes. It's smothered off Dawes' boot just as he was going for goal. The smotherer was Boyd. Gathered by Murphy now for the Dogs. Kick by Murphy across the goal. Marked by Addison. He advances the ball to Jakura, who's surrounded by opponents, but he still takes the mark. Dogs trail by a point. They've given a terrific yelp all night. Will they come up short? They led at quarter time but trailed at half and trailed at three-quarter time. It's just short of the wing. Comes to Cross. He loses it. Beams has had a terrific night. He works Cross off the ball. It finishes up over the boundary line throw in. 72-71. The Pies lead by a point.
How good was that smother by Boyd? It's going to be a clear goal, wasn't it?
Great effort.
7 minutes into the final term. It's that tense already. Griffin gets hold of it from the tap of Minson. Kicked the half forward. Jones couldn't quite hang on to the mark. Buckley's offloaded by Cooney, but his kick found Tuvey. The next kick from Brown is smothered away by Picken. Doing the small things right, the Dogs.
They sure are. That was Griffin's 13th contested possession. He had a great game.
Swan injected into the game.
Right half forward on the throw-in. Minson paddled it to the back. Addison's kick was smothered by Maxwell and the ricochet came to Sinclair. He put it out in front of Swan. Swan trusted the forwards. Keefer's gone down there against Hargrave. Hargrave made enough of a spoil. He and Keefe wrestle each other for it. Austin and Dawes the reinforcements. Dawes gets over the top of Austin. All over him in the back. Doggies free kick.
He jumped on him like a rodeo type of thing there.
And it wasn't the umpire off the play that gave the free kick to the umpire in charge.
I thought the push in the back was there first, then he jumped on him for the rodeo ride.
So Austin with the hand pass. Away to Murphy, who belts the ball towards the 50 but didn't give it enough, and Cloak stands his ground to take the mark, only 48 metres from goal. Well, they lead by a point here, Collingwood, and this is made for Travis Cloak.
The great ones do live and die by the sword, David. Robert Murphy hasn't missed a target all night. It was just 5 metres too short.
50 out, Cloak. He goes off the left with a perfect drop punt that's home for the money. Geez, a beautiful kick.
Well, he's struggled for most of the night with all the elements of his game, to be truthful, but the great ones do stand up when required. That was a magnificent kick at a time when it was needed.
Yeah, look, and I think the importance with this young group who've been lacking a bit of confidence, the importance of Brendan McCartney on the bench will come through now. Every player coming off, he'll just look them in the eye, back yourself in, make the play. All the team rules they've got in place to win this game.
Collingwood by 7 points. 12-6 to 10-11. 9.5 on the clock in this final two. From the middle, Pickens scraps for it with Beams. Beams got it out to Swan. Bounces it out to the wing. Cloak was directing traffic. He never quite got the ball. Murphy got caught with it. Hand pass to the boundary. He'll be pinged for deliberate. So 2 moments that Murphy would like back. Cloak is there to take the kick. He'll put it right to full forward. They all leap in. It's about the crumb for Solo. Slipped under the ball and stole a goal. He doubled back through under their armpits. And Collingwood's lead is as big as it's been all night. 13 points.
Collingwood was so lucky to get Alex Fasolo so late in the draft, and he was one of those guys who played for Western Australian under-18 team in the midfield, and was rated down the pecking order, and then around round 2 and early round 3 people fall in love with taller players or special players, and all of a sudden this kid who dominated the championship slides out to a late pick. I think it was around 50, and you're seeing his class. He does have class, and eventually he'll make his way into the midfield for Collingwood. It was a great goal by Alex Fasolo.
Gee, that was a wonderful goal. He backed through the pack and emerged victorious. Beams the hand pass to Pendlebury. Out wide he comes to Buckley. Collingwood finishing over the top. The pass by Buckley is marked by Goldsack on the lead, 55 out. He runs around the man on the mark, gets to the 50 and goes long, but kicked it like a backman, and it is out of bounds on the full.
The danger for the Western Bulldogs is they're all going to push back now, and it's a long way from home. You've almost need the ruckman to be pushing forward and backing in the Bulldogs to maintain possession, because Wood's out on his feet out there.
Cross on the kick in. Blasted outside the defensive area. Austin couldn't mark, and it's back in dispute with a pack forming. And the umpire in to bounce, Adam White.
It was interesting. I spoke earlier in the match about how Brendan McCartney was coaching at a time on the bench. He's now back upstairs. So that may have even been just the second quarter.
Collingwood by 13. Boyd's kick in the scrimmage was smothered. Cross seemed to get pushed in the back, and that's been the call of the umpire. But they're stuck at the wrong ends for the time being.
It's going to be hard work from here, I would suggest.
And the crazy running of earlier on looks like it might have taken a toll. Cross very wide with his kick. They played for the boundary and didn't get it there. Pendlebury intervened. High ball up to half forward again. Oh, gee, they crashed in fearlessly. Reid and Roughhead, they've come out of it all right. Liberatore underfoot. Kicks around the wing. Picken had to go the spoil. Wellingham's come from the bench to gather the loose ball and pump it straight back in. Cloak from the side. He's got numbers against him. Sinclair's the crummer. Wedged out a kick. Didn't go far. Cross on the intercept. Hand pass to Minson. He'll kick outside the defensive area. Reid makes the spoil over the top of Sherman and gets it back out of play.
The crowd posted tonight at 38,155. Terrific crowd under the roof. A Bulldogs home game. Here's the throw in, won by Wood, but it comes to Boyd, whose kick is smothered by Sidebottom. Sidebottom gathers. Lightning hand pass to Swan, who fumbles but regathers. To O'Brien. His hand pass is good, finding Beams in the clear. Beams left footer towards full forward. One hand by Dawes, no mark. And the whistle because the ball's been pinned in and the umpire is going to ball it up. Dogs have had a good run with the freeze. 20-8 tonight.
Now Minson's fresh in against Wood. He's got to push hard forward.
Cooney Rose. The hand pass to Best Premier, who took him on and turned into trouble with Pendlebury. Hurried kick it out of defence by the Dogs. Comes to Higgins. Away to Lake way up the ground. Near centre wing. Gian Syracuse at half forward. Wins a battle. Gets the hand pass into Sherman, who goes for goal. And kicks it wide, and it bounces out of bounds in the forward pocket for a throw in.
They have moved it down the field though. And the tide is moving a bit slower late in the night. At the throw in, Pendlebury and Cooney were the only two there. Gian Syracuse gets tackled as he tried to get through the pack.
Yeah, that'll give you a headache. He's just about landed on the concrete of the car park.
It'll be 35 out from the Dogs' goal. The ruckmen are there now. Cameron Wood for Collingwood, Will Minson for the Dogs. The bounce is a little away from them. Wellingham flies, knocked it down to Cooney, took a flying shot out across the face. In the pocket, O'Brien, who nearly threw that right to the goal line. Jakura got hold of it, hand pass, well, he went back and got it himself. They all got hold of him. Umpire signals play on 5 metres from goal, and there are bodies everywhere all over the ball.
Just on that one, David, Jakura ducked his head in. They shouldn't pay free kicks for head high when that happens, because got to stop people doing that.
Such a good call.
Here's a chance for the Dogs with a ball up alongside the behind post. Good bounce too. Minson wins, but it goes towards the boundary line and out, so they prefer a boundary throw in rather than a ball up. Collingwood 84, Bulldogs 71. 15 minutes last quarter. Here's the throw in, won by Wood, down to Liberatore, who goes to ground. Cross chucks himself at it, spills to Cooney, darts out of the pack, hand pass to Lake, who kicks from 50. Lake all the way, what a goal! That is amazing!
Unbelievable goal. One of the great goals. And the time in the game.
Oh, it's terrific. Look, and he's had a dreadful, year and a half, hasn't
preparation into the season.
Yeah, it's just been difficult for him the last couple of years. I thought it was, 2 years ago, he had just the best judgment, almost in the scarlet class, when he was up and going, could read it, get up. To be able to come forward at the time when it was required, and this is the second time he's done that. Remember, they did it in the third quarter going the other way. Read it, get it, and kick it. Oh, gee.
Phenomenal.
I wouldn't write the Bulldogs off, David. Now, I know you've put a line through their name on your piece of paper there.
It's Collingwood by 7 points. Pendlebury's going to get hold of it, though, in the middle. He tumbles a kick out to half forward. Bouncing ball. Austin led Reid. Neither got hold of it. Goldsack got down without the footy. Reid gathers for the Pies. Hand pass to Buckley. Kick was touched off the boot. Best Premi, he's been dispossessed. Side bottom over his head, got the hand pass away. Goldsack from out wide. He kicks a goal across the face. Keith can't mark. It's through for a minor score. The Pies by 8.
Now, it is true. I have been on with them, but I've had the rubber out 3 times this quarter.
Here's Hargrave for the Dogs. We've played 17 minutes in the last quarter, so there is time left for the Bulldogs. Hargrave kicks towards the 50.
Good kick and mark.
Yeah, it was good. Austin, the former Carlton player, takes the mark on defensive 50. Pokes up a short ball to Griffin. Gee, was lucky to get away with that. Griffin the mark. Now down the corridor. Cross takes the mark. Some run from Cooney. Cooney to the 50. Giansiracusa. Quick transfer by the Dogs, and the kick over the top to Sherman, who runs onto it and marks near the behind post. The length of the ground by the Bulldogs. And Justin Sherman, from a very tight angle but close in, has a chance here to get the Dogs to within 2 points.
Gee, I'll tell you, there's about 4 other leads close to goal.
He kicks it back to Higgins, who goes from 48. Across the face, Minson is there. Punch to the front, comes to Fasolo. Hand pass back, and Collingwood are going to get out of trouble. Not sure how the Dogs didn't get a score somehow out of that.
Buckley's had a couple of bounces on an expansive run, and he blasts it up the wing. Keith found front position against Hargrave, and Hargrave held on. Keith with the free kick on the City wing. He's had a bit of a look everywhere. Kicks it sideways to Fasolo.
David, that was poor play by Higgins. That was poor play. They had a good look at goal.
Fasolo's kick is a horror. It grubs up to the 50. It falls for Cloak, whose hand pass is false. There's Premi for the Dogs. Hand pass it around with Wallace. And now to cross sideways to Higgins. So a chance to build from defence. Well, the kick's not great. Sherman was waiting. O'Brien stole it. Harry O finally into the game with a decisive strike. He kicks a goal preying on 2 Bulldog errors. One at either end of the field. 14-7-91. The breathing space is back. The Dogs 11-11-77.
The sad part about it, Higgins was in both of those.
Both of them, yeah.
And the first decision down here, A, to demand it, and then B, to finish it the way he did across the face of goal was a disaster. Sherman should have been told to go back. You don't get much easy, not easier. It was a reasonably difficult angle, but it was a short distance. They would have scored. Gone to the other end and cost them one. He was involved in both of those. Very sad.
He was a sub a couple of weeks ago, Sean Higgins. So the match committee knew something about him. He had a chance twice. Swan out of the middle for the Pies, up towards the 50. Gee, Lake was in the back. Bloke, wasn't he? No free kick. Play on, says the umpire, and now he's going to ball it up.
You can't, that's the forward being interfered. I just don't see why that wasn't a free kick to Cloak.
91 plays 77. We're at the 20-minute mark of the last quarter. The bounce inside the centre square. Dogs have it at ground level. Little hand pass away. Vest Premi on the run. Kicks from half back to half forward. Here's Higgins with a chance to make amends. He goes to ground, loses it. Gian Siracusa loses it. And now side bottom for Collingwood. Back to Clark. Kicks out to the flank. Good ball put on by Griffin. Gets away from Beams and kicks to full forward. Jakura at the back. Charges in. Higgins as well. Collingwood under pressure, but they stand tall, and the hand pass comes from Reid to Clark.
Clark will kick it out for Ugle. They survive a tight moment there, the Pies. 14-point leaders, time on now of the final term. Ugle down the line in the Cloak direction. He's got a couple to beat, punched away. Sinclair is roving at his feet. He bounces it up to half forward. Hard ball to trap. Austin did it well for the Dogs. Used Pickin. Now to Boyd. Up to Murphy. Took a little while. Used a hand pass to Pickin. Cooney's the runner, but he can't get clear. He kicks up to half forward. Jones into the pack. Pushed it boundary side. Griffin's there. Tried to guide it to his boot. Gained some good yardage with some sort of kick. And sees it out of play 25 around from their goal fronts.
Higgins' problem is his leg speed. It's just too slow to make his own space and to chase him down.
To have a chance, they'd have to kick a goal from this venture forward, the Dogs. It reaches the back on the throw-in. Swan is there. He used Shaw. Popped it out to Tuvey. They could run the field here, the Pies. Tuvey's had a bounce to reach halfway. He's kicked for Ugle against Vez Premi. He dived and he couldn't quite mark. And Vez Premi stays in the contest.
Oh, he kicks to a contest, but Lake goes up and takes the mark on Cloak. The umpire paid the mark, I'm not sure it was. Taken quickly, comes out to Cross, who marks at half-back. Down the line he goes, Jones takes the mark on his chest. 91 plays 77, the Pies by 14 at the 22-minute mark. Kicked by Jones to half-forward. Wood drops a mark for Collingwood. Swept up by side-bottom. To O'Brien, to Clark, to Reid, centre wing, kicked by Reid to half forward, 2 against 1, and the 1 wins for Collingwood. The mark's been taken by Clark, who's by Fasolo, who's limping.
Well, the one thing that Fasolo has got that we didn't mention is his vertical leap. He's a power man. He just goes straight up without a run at it, and his marking for his size is superb.
And he'll end up in the midfield. He has some class.
Teenager Alex Fasolo for his second goal of this final quarter from 50. It's close, but it's left and through for a minor score. So it gives the Doggies some chance to still get back into this. Collingwood 14-8. Western Bulldogs 11-11. The margin is 15 at the 23-minute mark.
Murphy kicked it in for Liberatore. They'll have to run the gauntlet. Kick long in the Sherman direction. Brown keeps him away from it. And Collingwood with the numbers at the drop. Keith used side bottom, back to Keith. He might give some ground, and he does for Maxwell. So they're 45 out from the defensive goal. Swan was on at centre half back. Every Magpie fan in the stadium was looking in that direction. Maxwell's now committed to kicking this to a contest. He sets it high into it. Cloak's going to arrive at the back of it to do the crumbing. He's held up by Minson. Ball spills out the side. Ugle tried to go under the pack. Not anything creative there. Ball slips around in this pack and finally run over the boundary by Goldsack.
You're supposed to reward the running of teammates.
Well,
yeah.
What
happened there with
Maxwell? You see what Swanee did to him?
Had a crack at him
3 times.
Here's the throw in at centre wing. dead heat between the ruckmen. At ground level, Beams, who's played a perler. Hand pass to Swan. Standing start to half forward. Knuckle on the ball by Austin, but it gets behind him. Picken darts back towards the back pocket to gather. He does well. Hand pass to Austin, who nearly took it out. Finds Cross on defensive 50. Short pass, didn't go 15. Addison kicks straight to the opposition. It's taken by Wellingham, who gathers and kicks the goal to seal the game. Sherrod Wellingham gets his first, and the Pies couldn't be beaten from here. 15-8 to 11-11.
That's Collingwood's number one weapon. You know, you think of Cloak's marking and Pendlebury's clearances and Swan linking up. Their number one weapon is, as a team, they turn the ball over, get the opposition to turn the ball over and counter-attack and score. And that was just a Collingwood, classic Collingwood, create the turnover, hit the scoreboard and break the heart of the opposition. And it was all about sustaining the pressure for the Western Bulldogs, and it just dropped off a bit now, David. Some fundamental errors.
Yeah, I mean, Addison's choice and disposal was pretty ordinary, wasn't it?
4 goals to 1 in a decisive final term. Cameron Wood gets hold of it in the middle. Hand pass to Swan. Brings it out to the broadcast wing for Shaw. Shaw will nudge it forward to the play with Pendlebury there to mark. Disposal number 33 coming up. He'll use it as a 30-metre pass for Sidebottom. Sidebottom is signalling Pendlebury to keep going, and wide. He sends it in that direction. Pendlebury has a look up to the forward line. There's nothing to be had, so he gives 50 metres backward to O'Brien. He'll switch play for Keefe. The runners on the outer side include Buckley and Brown, and each gets their moments. And it's out at right halfback with Brown. So the Dogs can't get a look at the footy for the time being. The kick up the line's a good one, and Dawes slides in to take the mark. It's on Collingwood's terms. Dawes decides the short pass with Cloak on the long lead. He's still only just forward of the middle, but he'll wheel out onto the left boot, put it high inside the 50. Cameron Wood wrestles with Minson. It comes underfoot. Hargrave is onto it for the Dogs. There's nothing to kick to, though, and he kicks aimlessly around the wing, and Cloak is back onto it.
Cloak had only 1 mark to half-time. He's taken 7 in the second half. Marty Clark has it at the logo centre wing. Kicks towards the 50. Big leap down there by Goldsack, but no mark. Sinclair at the back. Gathers a bouncing ball and bangs it towards goal, but it is out of play. Missing to the near side.
Most creative forwards would have dribbled that along the ground. He'll learn to do that.
Brought in quickly by the Dogs, but time has run out. They gave a really good yelp. They led at quarter time. Were still well in it at 3/4 time, trailing by just a point, but it's come unstuck in the last. Griffin goes for a run and kicks it to Jones, pretty much on his own inside the 50. Gathers and kicks it out of bounds. He's another one who's got to dribble it maybe along the ground, because he gave it aerial and missed out of bounds.
Brown against the behind post. Inside the final minute of play now. As far as he can with a kick. Pendlebury made the spoil. Higgins is there at the drop, though. Hand pass to Cross. He gave the 1-2 with Higgins. He closes to 65. Kicks in the Jones direction. The numbers are against him. He brings it to ground, but the Magpies just measly in defence. Taken away by Brown. Off to Clark, who kicks it a bit wide. Too wide.
Another free kick to the Dogs. Freeze at 21-10. Collingwood fans will say, well, we beat the Dogs and we also beat the umpires. Cross forward of the wing, gets it inside the 50. Oh, good mark by Wood. Cameron Wood. And what a night. He is still standing tall right at the end of the game.
99% of the day he's been in the ruck.
Oh, really well done. Kicks the ball back. Keefe. There's the siren. Collingwood win their 4th, and the Doggies' effort, while brave, has come up short.
They know how to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the Magpies' name.
score, Collingwood 15-8-98 have defeated the Western Bulldogs 11-11-77. The margin 21 at the end after being just 1 point at three-quarter time. In the last quarter, the Pies kicked 4 goals, 3, while the Dogs managed just 1-1. Terrific win by Collingwood to come from behind and be far too good for the Dogs, despite the free kick count, which was 21-10.
Good old Collingwood forever. They know how to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the Magpies' name. See the barricades are shouting as old barricades shout. Oh, the premiership's a cakewalk for the good old Collingwood.
A spread of goal kickers for the Pies. Goldsack kicked 2, Sinclair 2, Cloak 2 and Shaw 2, and singles for Fasolo, O'Brien, Reid, Wellingham, Sidebottom, Dawes and Swan. And for the Bulldogs, Gian Siracusa was their leading goal kicker with 3. Higgins kicked 2, had a chance to get more. Griffin kicked 2, and singles for Boyd, Easton Wood, who was subbed off early, and it doesn't look good, and Hargrave and Lake also kicked goals.
So there's the presentation to be made here with the Rose Cup up for grabs. 21-point winners, the Pies. They put their third together on the trots. Stirring stuff, entertaining for good portions of the evening. We'll join Craig Willis at ground level for the formal presentations after the final strains of this Magpie song ringing out over the
Ladies
faithful.
and gentlemen, tonight the Western Bulldogs and the Collingwood Football Club competed for the Robert Rose Cup and also the Sutton Rose Medal, which is awarded to the best player on the field. I'd like to ask former Bulldogs champion Chris Grant to announce the recipient.
It's my honour to present the Sutton Rose Medal to Scott Pendlebury of Collingwood.
Pendlebury, 34 disposals, 14 kicks, 20 hand passes, 17 contested possessions. He took 5 marks, had 5 clearances, laid 9 tackles.
He's got a few medals now, just needs a Brownlow.
Thanks for the Bulldogs. It was a fantastic game. You guys were really hard at it, so well done. Thanks for all the fans for coming out. Really good to play in front of all you guys, and to our boys, well done. Good win. We've got to keep going now. Cheers.
Thank you, Scott. Congratulations. The Robert Rose Cup, of course, was named in honour of Collingwood and Footscray player Robert Rose, a brilliant all-round athlete. He was struck down by tragedy when hit by a car in 1974, which left him a quadriplegic. Passed away in 1999, and the Robert Rose Foundation for Victorians with spinal cord injuries was named in his honour. And I'm going to invite now Lucas Dumbrell, ambassador for the Robert Rose Cup, to present it to the captain of Collingwood, Nick Maxwell, and coach Nathan Buckley.
So the last time they played, they picked up a trophy as well. The Robert Rose Cup now in the possession of Collingwood at the end of this. So 21-point winners, Nick Maxwell's words.
First of all, thanks to everyone for coming out today. It was a great crowd and a great atmosphere. Well done to the doggies, they're heading in the right direction. And thanks to the Robert Rose Foundation that supports so many people out there with spinal cord injuries. Thanks.
So the Pies by 21. David, what did you think?
Well, I'm not going to say now, after you all rubbished me on the way through, I did pick the winner and the margin.
You've been down on yourself for half the game.
No,
Give yourself a rap.
Well, no, it was a terrific game. I think with the players actually got to say that publicly, but I actually enjoyed the contest made by the exuberance of the Western Bulldogs, the energy they put into it, and the football they played. I reckon they played a much more exciting brand of football than Collingwood, who we've used the word a lot, who manufactured a lot of their work, and I think in the finish even the result on the scoreboard. They would be very pleased thinking that at round 5 last year they'd won the lot and they were first in the competition, and they've been sitting before tonight at 10th, and that would be very unacceptable, you would have thought. And conversely, with the Western Bulldogs at this stage, they were 9th last year and they've slipped to 13th this year. So both clubs arrived tonight with well below expectation positions on the ladder and a fair bit hanging on the game. And whilst Western Bulldogs didn't go away with the 4 very precious points, and I don't think they're going to be a challenging side this year, but they would have won them. They've gone away, I think, satisfied that they have a playing group capable of playing an exciting brand of footy, which had they scored, Chris, and we always go back, and I'm a harper on this, but so often this year, I've been, I think, 5 or 6 games this year where a team has destroyed themselves by not converting with any kind of accuracy in the first quarter. And we sort of wiped that out and it's gone. But you know deep down in your heart that this is going to cost them, as it did cost the Western Bulldogs, because they could have gone in 4 or 5 goals in front with a head of steam that might have carried them longer and further into the game. Now, they did come back when they looked like they were going to be overtaken in the third quarter, but a good effort, I think, from the Western Bulldogs.
So final score this Friday night, Collingwood 15 goals, 8-98, defeating the Western Bulldogs 11-77. Our news radio audience departs the rest of the country. We've got another half hour in store for you.
That's the song. There are a lot of really tired Collingwood players down here in the rooms. That's taken a lot out of them. We think of Anzac Day, which was, a 9-day break. They are very, very tired after tonight's game. We're going to have a chat to, hopefully, Scott Pendlebury very shortly. But for the moment, back upstairs.
Can I just continue on that? You can talk about the day break. The 9-day break after that would have been an advantage, I would have thought, to Collingwood. You know, in a season where they played back-to-back games within 4 days, the 9-day break should have been to them an advantage compared with the 6-day break that the Western Bulldogs had last week. I would have thought in the run home that would have been an advantage to Collingwood. Can go back to the Western Bulldogs though. What I was pleased to see that whilst we said before the game their midfield group is as good as there is in the competition. Gosh, they're working exceedingly hard. If I look quickly at the statistics now, the same bods, Griffin, Cross, Boyd, Murphy was very good off the halfback flank. Sherman, who's becoming a much more competent player. I didn't think he was ever going to live up to his rate. Cooney was back to somewhere near his best.
I'll put you back on that track shortly, but let's go into the Collingwood rooms with Adam White.
Thanks, Jared. I've got Scott Pendlebury. Scott, we had a chat to you 2 weeks ago after the really disappointing loss against Carlton. It's slowly improving.
Yeah, it is. It's slowly coming together. I thought that was a pretty flat performance from our half. I don't think we pressured the Bulldogs as well as we would have liked, but they've changed their game plan a fair bit. They like to link up and handball, and they really give you an opportunity to pressure, but they were very clean with their hands tonight, and we just had to stick at it, and that last quarter we were able to get on top.
It's interesting you say that. I was at ground level and I noticed that myself, that you could see that the team was really trying hard, but it just wasn't quite working as much as you were trying harder and harder and harder.
Yeah, I think that's a thing that we'll be pleased with, that the effort was there. It was just almost like they just got that one extra and we just didn't have that next player to make a hit, and it's something we'll work on, and maybe we'll committing too many people at the ball carrier, so it's something we'll look at.
You better head back into the rooms. Nathan wants you. If you can come back out, it'd be good to have a bit more of a chat.
Cheers, boys.
Right, I've Scott Pendlebury to rejoin us. David, you were with the Bulldogs.
I was with the Bulldogs because they spread their load better than Collingwood. There are a number of very, very good players, Collingwood players at the top end, but I thought their drop-off at the bottom end was significant, whereas very few of the Western Bulldogs players didn't contribute in some shape or form. So I think they'll walk away with a feeling that they are really on the right track. I don't talk about an honourable loss, but there's been development and significant improvement in their overall performance, and some of the players within that. I was just saying that it's too, that same, what we talked about, Griffin, Cross, Boyd, Sherman midfield, Cooney, I think they'd be pleased with. Cooney did a bit better, and he's been on the upward rise for about the last 3 weeks at least. Vez Premi looks like he can play a bit. Austin did a couple of things, including a very brave short pass into the corridor to get them forward again when they were under pressure at the finish. They to me, an improving group, and some individuals, Liberatore, worked pretty hard all day. Wallace made a significant impact when he came on at the finish. Dalhouse started like a rocket and certainly disappeared out of the play. But to me, they still lack the depth of talent required. Didn't convert. I think the boy at centre-half forward, Liam Jones, certainly got to a lot. Didn't catch all that many, I don't think. Didn't have all that many marks. He had 3, I think, for the night. So they're still looking for forwards who can mark the ball. Lake is playing extremely well down back. I think that back half, Hargraves coming back in, certainly did some good work in the tall department. So it's the went into 50. Did we check that? They were inside 50, 41 to 39. So they went off and up, 2 more than Collingwood. But again, because
that might be an old one. It's 55-51 Collingwood's way at the end. So they had a big swing in the last quarter.
Okay, inside 50. Well, that is a big swing, isn't it? And that's where the difference was. But they just don't do enough, and it's been like that. Good games, poor games, winning games, losing games for Western Bulldogs. They cannot mark the ball inside their 50 and kick easy goals.
No, not at the moment, but I'd be pretty boisterous about the Western Bulldogs. I think they've got some terrific young players coming through. We didn't see Ace Cordy play tonight. Tom Williams was unavailable. We saw Wood come off. Wood was one of the best players on the ground prior to coming off. Then you got the Liberatore, Wallace's coming through, and all the other young players that you did mention. So I think with experience and individual development and connections amongst this group, I think they're going to have a good foundation to build this team upon. From the coaching staff of the Western Bulldogs, they were outstanding. All you can do as a coaching staff is get your team up and about from the bounce of the ball. And they sustained that pressure all the way up until about 10 minutes to go. And sustaining the pressure was always going to be the challenge, because the one thing you can't buy is experience. And they just haven't got enough out there. So then the ball was back in Collingwood's court. If Collingwood didn't put them under pressure, well, they wouldn't have had to sustain the pressure. But Collingwood did put them back under pressure. They slugged it out in the midfield in terms of winning the clearances and winning the contested ball. They're going end to end, and all of a sudden the Bulldogs fall over. Collingwood get the ball inside 50 more, and they go ahead and score. Now, David, you said that the Bulldogs, and it looks like at this point in time, that they don't have that key forward that can just manufacture a goal if you're under pressure, let's say. And we know that Collingwood are going for the premiership this year and have had some injuries. Now, is there cause for a pre-season draft? Collingwood have got a wealth of tall players. We saw 3 up front, 3 down the back. Tarrant didn't play. Ruckman's out. They've got a wealth of tall players. And the one strength that the Western Bulldogs does have is in the midfield. So for Daniel Cross to pop over to, and I'm not saying Daniel would do it, but to pop over to the Collingwood football ground and help them win a premiership, and for a Brown to go to the Western Bulldogs and help structure up their back or front half, it would be a pretty reasonable deal, because when that window is open to win a premiership, you might sell a bit of the future to get that one over the line, because the queue is 18 long. I just was looking at that and thinking that and then it kind of topped it off when you brought up that comment.
Well, it has been under discussion for a long time.
Mid-season draft.
Yes,
because the players do want more ability to move.
Yeah, and with the new rules coming that could be applied at the mid-season, this would throw a cat amongst the free agents at the same time. You just might be able to manoeuvre a premiership from a point where you're teetering on the edge to something that's really significant. I doubt whether it'll get a run. I think it's probably a bit too complicated. When you think about the history of the game, it's based on the belonging bit. I'm just hoping that it won't have a significant effect. I think you and I think differently on this, but I hope it won't have a significant effect on what this game has been based on, and it's the belonging part of it, supporters belonging to and believing in, and the relationship they have with their players. I think nothing shatters supporters more than someone who's contributed over a long period of time and walks. We've talked about the Ablets as a family have walked all the way through. If you go and look at the whole Ablett family of works, and the Cloaks have walked a bit too.
Russell Green was a St Kilda bloke.
He walked out. I recruited him on a Thursday night and he played on a Saturday. And that was during the season.
So you recruited him, and here you are saying loyalty's being busted
because it allowed us to do it. I don't think that we ought to be encouraging them more than we have to. I think the one thing that this game has been based on is the tribalism of it, supporter base, where people really
feel it's about to finish though with free agency, isn't it?
Well, yeah, everybody's debating how far it will go and how fast it will go. I just love the idea of players being one. I was in the middle of that. They had pulled a 10-year rule in when I was about 28, I think. They pulled the 10-year rule in. And
you were too young for the 10-year rule.
No, I was 28. No, I played it from 18 to 28. Yeah. So it was a 10-year rule, and I was going. And the Swans, as they were in those days, came to me, and so did North Melbourne. And I was offered, in those days, more than double the salary, which would be like a player going from 500 to $1 million. We didn't get anything like that, but I was offered that. And you're tempted because it would set yourself up for life, but I could not think about walking out on the blokes that I'd created some history with and the long association we would have, because it would have broken that down.
But Chris, you're talking about not money bags getting the bloke across, but a swap. What's good for one club,
look,
give something to receive.
Yeah,
something.
look, I look at these two teams, and you're thinking that the Bulldogs, it is very, very hard to get quality key position players. So the Bulldogs are desperate for someone up front. Collingwood seem to have a wealth of tall players. Collingwood want to win the premiership this year. They've had enormous injuries to their midfield. Western Bulldogs are strong in that area. Do we do a trade, give Collingwood a chance to win a premiership? Western Bulldogs a chance to structure up their team for the next 5-10 years to win a premiership, because at the end of the day, that's what the objective of the football department is, to win a premiership. And you either got to be in that mode or planning to get into that mode.
Oh, it's a good discussion.
It's a fair argument, and a Western Bulldog player at that stage of his career might be saying, well, I've got no chance of playing in a premiership. It was like us with Greg Williams. How do we get Greg Williams back? Was to offer him the chance to play in a premiership, which he wasn't going to do where he was. And that was the thing, not the money, but that was what got him over the line.
And you wouldn't think Daniel Cross would play in a premiership at the Bulldogs.
No, that's the point I make, yeah. So
and I don't think any Bulldogs person
would be savage on him for making that.
Yeah.
You've mentioned Daniel Cross a couple of times. Is he your P?
No.
What about Griffin?
No, he's different.
Right,
because Daniel Cross is coming towards the end of his career. Collingwood are looking to win the premiership this year. Daniel Cross could win a premiership, and Collingwood could win the premiership, and Western Bulldogs could get a structural player. So it's a win-win-win-win if you look at it in its purest sense. But we do build the game around our players, and it will break the heart. I think Melbourne people are still getting over on Brassie going to Carlton. The players are asking for more movement, and it mightn't be that type of deal. It might be the guy who's not getting a game for Collingwood's taller timber, and it might be the midfielder for not getting a go in the Western Bulldogs midfield. So it might be a swap for swap, 25th player for 25th player, but because of the need, they end up the 15th most important player in the teams they're swapped to.
Yeah. Given that we don't have that system at the moment, how are the Bulldogs going to get through the rest of this year with a forward line that doesn't really work, whilst you can see the rest coming together? How do you avoid it becoming dispiriting?
Okay, I really like Liam Jones, and I really like his work ethic. His kicking's an issue, and with a strong work ethic, it means you are going to get the ball up on the wing and be kicking inside 50, and it's an issue, but you're better off putting up with the pain in the short term for the long-term gain. Roughhead's got to spend a bit of time forward. I think Ace Cordy could be a very good player if he can stay healthy, a young player coming through. And it does take these taller players 5 or 6 years to develop their bodies to consistently compete. And in the end, they're going to have to manufacture different forward setups and maybe look at, does a Lake go forward, Ruckman slide forward, do they go with the smaller forward line? I read a thing today on Charles Darwin. And he says it's not the strongest that survive, it's not the most intelligent that survive, it's the most adaptable that survive. So, and, I think if you're going to get ahead of the game, we look at what's on offer and everyone, is being innovative.
What was Charles
But
Darwin?
You need to get ahead
was he
of...
a high-marking left footer?
Well, Charles Darwin, he had a strong stake on what evolved, yes.
Evolution. Yeah, look, I think there's a bit in that, Chris, because they've got to sit back and actually the discussion that we're having now on their behalf, got no doubt that they're having
absolutely
that kind of discussion, including influencing the rules of the competition in some way so they can get what they need to, because it's not going to be a short way home for them from here. And they've been and challenged and weren't good enough with one of the most adaptable sides in the competition. They could never win a premiership, we would have thought, because in the finish, as the competition has shown time after time, if you don't have 2 or 3 big, strong forwards, you can't win it. It's as simple as that. And you can get there and you can challenge and be exciting to watch the players. About 5 or 6 years ago, the team I watched loved to play most was Western Bulldogs.
And you think about the
before we go, we'll come back. Scott Pendlebury's back with us in the Pies rooms. Adam.
Yes, we have got one of the best players on the field, if not the best player. Happy coach, you've just come out of the meeting.
Yeah, happy coach. If you win, he's always happy. But, he was just happy that we were able to hang in there, even though we weren't playing our best footy. We were able to stick around, find a way in that last quarter, and more importantly for us, I think that was our first last quarter that we've won, so it was a positive sign.
Before we head upstairs, one final one from me is just about, we were talking about it before, about finding a way to win, and win maybe a bit ugly when things aren't going so well. Does that satisfy the group because it has come so easily over the past couple of years?
Yeah, definitely. We realise that not every week you're going to be up and about. You've just got to hang in there and find a way. And we were down, I think 17, 18 points in that second quarter, and we managed to get back on top at half time, and then fell back behind again, and then clawed our way back. So, winning ugly sometimes is more satisfying.
Parko, go for it.
Well, I'll ask the first one about Cameron Wood. Pendle, did he have to do the whole... We watching a game and didn't see that he got any assistance. Did he do the ruck work for the whole night?
Yeah, I think I seen Dawsey in the centre bounce for about 2 or 3. So huge effort by Woody to come in and shoulder that whole load. But if he wants that number 1 ruck spot, he's got to be able to do it. And I thought he's made a step in the right direction tonight.
And the other one I've spoken to you about, the other tool, young Keith is doing it. I know they swapped him back to forward, etc. But he has probably developed further and faster than any other bloke on your list.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised, to be honest, with how quickly he's come along. And you talk about guys like Israel Folau and Carmichael Hunt. Keith is no different. He's come from a soccer background. I think this is his 3rd year of actually playing AFL. When we got him to the club, it was the first time he'd had a ball in his hand. So it's extraordinary to think, 3 years ago where he was to what he's doing now.
Well, I watched him at the finish of the game return the ball to the umpire after the game was over with a 40-metre rugby sling too. So his Queensland background has helped him in the rugby side as well. But he's just got a great ability. I know he's up at the highest in the taking marks that other sides have kicked. He's just a gem, isn't he?
Yeah, he does. He reads the ball really well, and he's the back of our zone there. So he reads it really well, and every week he's grown with confidence. I think at the start he just wanted to spoil the contest and halve it, and now he's really dominating it. And another thing about Keith, he loves all sports, so he watches them all, and he's got a great sporting mind.
Scott, Chris Connolly here. Now, were you happy with your game?
I'm not too sure. I haven't, you don't really know how you've gone. I suppose I felt like I was in the contest, and a few sloppy things I'd done, but thought I was in it. But I'll review with halves early next week.
And I say that because you're talking about, you're winning ugly and you're the leader, and it just didn't get that flow going, which was a credit to the contest formed by the Western Bulldogs. Have you taken on more responsibility at the clearances with Luke Ball out now?
I think all of us have, we've got to find probably 10, 15% around there. And, Beamsy and Steele, we've asked them to come in now and fill a role, not just come in and play in there for 15, 20 minutes. It's, they're permanent midfielders now. I think Beamsy was really good tonight. I think he might have had, 9, 10 or maybe even 11 tackles, and Steelo as well. So we've all got a lift in the absence of Wally, but yeah. I think we're getting there.
And one last question: you didn't go forward at all tonight. Is that something you miss? We've seen you go forward so often in recent times.
Yeah, I do miss going forward, but we're a bit light on tonight, I suppose, in terms of guys that could rotate through the middle. So it was more do the work in the midfield, get off and try and get back in there, and hopefully we could have got enough goals from our big guys, and we managed to get a sort of an even spread.
Scott, one from me. How's the surface here at Docklands? You feel tired? A few years ago they were talking about the concrete underneath, and you're all leg weary at the end. How is it?
I love playing here. It's perfect conditions, and the ground's really improved over the years. And I know the boys pull up a little bit sore tomorrow from playing here, but in terms of playing here on a night that's probably 10 degrees outside and raining, I think most guys would rather be here than at the G.
We spoke to Nathan Buckley in the lead-up and had a bit of a laugh about the scissors, rock, paper between you and Dane Swan as to who gets the tag, and Rodney Eade was pretty sure that Picken would go to Swan, and that would see how things panned out with you. What was the dynamic for you on the field tonight, and how did you play around Griffin for various parts of the night?
I suppose if you don't get that tag or draw that tag, Swanee got it tonight, and then it comes down to me, Beamsy, and Steelo trying to match up and find best matchup. So at times I went through Griffin, Boyd, Liberatore, when Wallace was there, Cross. So I suppose if you're not getting that hard tag, you're sort of rotating through guys because there is so many rotations that happen.
And what's the balance then between being defensively minded from time to time or being the playmaker with 34 disposals?
Well, if you draw a guy like Griffin, you know that he's very, very dangerous on the spread. So, if I find myself on a guy like that, I've got to be a bit more weary of what he's going to do, and hopefully one of the other boys can clear it. And if I feel like I've got an advantage on an opponent, I'll definitely try and get the footy. But you've definitely got to play both ways. That's just how it works.
Gee, the stats between Griffin and yourself are so even, but hey, you've got the medal.
Yeah, don't know about that.
Good on you, Scott. Nice to chat in victory.
All right, thanks, guys.
Scott Pendlebury with us in the Magpies rooms. It was Collingwood 15-8-98 over the Western Bulldogs 11-11-77.
Would you agree that the medal went to the right bloke?
Oh,
was he best?
You can debate those things all day. He was probably the best player in the winning side. I don't know whether he was the best player on the ground. I thought the other bloke was probably significantly better.
I didn't give him the 3 votes.
No, well,
and of course he had a significant impact.
I'm with you on that.
Well, just by way of comparison, Griffin 33 disposals, Pendlebury 34. Griffin 16 contested, Pendlebury 17. Griffin 5 marks, Pendlebury 5 marks. Clearances, Griffin 8, Pendlebury 5. Tackles, Griffin 7, Pendlebury 9. Inside 50s, Griffin 12, Pendlebury 3.
Repeat that.
12-3 inside 50s.
And the goals kicked?
Griffin kicked 2-2 and Pendlebury had a clean sheet.
And that's probably the difference, I would think.
Yeah,
but we are splitting hairs. I mean, Scott Pendlebury's a great player who did a great job tonight.
Do the rest of them while you're at it, Drew.
Well, overall, the Bulldogs led in possessions, 393 to 375. They trailed slightly in the marks, 164 to 156. But, that was contested possessions. They led in the marks, the Bulldogs, 89 to 71. They trailed in clearances, 44 to 38. They led in tackles, Collingwood led in tackles, 79 to 69. You with me? The inside 50s were Collingwood 55 to 51, and the free kicks, we talked about it all night, 21 to 11 in favour of the Bulldogs. The umpires really caned the Pies here tonight, 21 to 11. Now the individuals. For Collingwood, Pendlebury with his 34, Beams had 33 with 11 contested and 11 tackles. Buckley, he's going okay, 30 possessions, and he had 7 inside 50s. Steele side bottom, 29 possessions, 14 of them were contested and 6 tackles. Swan made a slow start but finished with 29 possessions, 17 of them contested, with 6 clearances and 6 tackles and a goal. And Marty Clark finished with 26 possessions. For the Bulldogs, Griffin 33, we've gone through his. Cross 31 with 7 contested and 6 tackles. Boyd had 29 possessions, 8 contested, and he laid just 2 tackles. Murphy 24 possessions. Sherman 24, Hargrave 24, and Liberatore had 24 possessions. And the final score, if you've just tuned in and you've come from dinner somewhere, the Pies have got up by 21 points. 15-8-98 to the Dogs, 11-11-77. The Dogs led at quarter time by 11, and after that, Collingwood won the next 3 quarters. Pies led by 3 at half-time, by 1 at three-quarter time, and finished up by 21 points.
Give us the better players, and then we'll get the votes for the ABC Footballer of the Year.
I was just looking at the draw, which we'll probably come to later on. Murphy was good off the halfback flank, but he did muck up one very important kick with his great ability at doing that at a crucial time. Wallace came on and looked okay to me. I was surprised that he wasn't picked, but we think it was a rotation thing. You've heard about the midfield, but just fantastic. First, Primmy does enough to suggest that he has a future, and I was absolutely wrapped in Easton Wood until he sadly pulled a hamstring at a critical time during the game. But overhead, his anticipation, his run and hard work to get forward, and his delivery long and low and accurately to teammates and through the goal was just terrific. So that's one that I think will be an absolute certainty. We said Sherman's got better. Gian Sirikuru played, I think, a pretty good game up forward. Griffin and Cooney, wherever you look amongst the midfield, they were good. Addison, I'd still think that he probably isn't developing into a player that they would want. Vincent struggled hard all night in the ruck. Lake was super down back for most part of the game. Dalhouse, unfortunately, started like a rocket and blew out of steam, I thought. He just disappeared out of the game. Pick and work hard as he does. And Austin, the boy from Carlton, looks methodical. Didn't do a great deal, but he was nice and consistent. Fasolo's the one that excites me, and I didn't know that he had the capacity to play midfield, as Chris has suggested. He'll get better. Down back, Maxwell, reasonable game. O'Brien, well below his best, but did get better at the finish. Clark, I think, has become a really important part of that particular midfield. Nathan Brown went backwards after his first round. I didn't think he did as much tonight. Maybe he didn't have the opportunity, but after a very good start after the injury. Reid went backwards and forwards, looked certainly better down back. We talked about Wellington and Sidebottom were both, and I love this Lachlan Keefe. He's going to be a player. Johnson's injured, not sure how badly. Buckley, who came across from Melbourne, to me is short of the class that they need. I'm not sure he holds place. And Sinclair, gee, can he run? He's one of the quickest boys that I've seen in football. Dawes and Cloak all over the place tonight. Some really good stuff and some really terrible stuff, but in the finish were probably a bit of a difference because of their size. Tuvey I thought was good all day. I like Tuvey, he's always consistent. Swan, we know, got better and better as the game went on. Little Ugle that came on, looks a power little fella, left footer, was good. And Heath Shaw was an absolute plus for them.
The votes, Chris? 1 vote to Scott Pendlebury, 2 votes to Heath Shaw, who I thought really kept Collingwood in the game early in the piece, kicked 2 magnificent goals. And I thought Ryan Griffin, with his work in and around the contested ball and forward to centre, and that's the combination you really love with your midfielders. I just thought he had a fantastic game, and I think he's gone into the top echelon now, David.
Well, I've seen him 2 weeks in a row, and he's been BOG both times.
Just looking quickly at the draw, Collingwood will end up winning probably 4 out of their next 5, and will end up with 8 or 9 by the time they get to the bye in round 12. They're going to be all right from this point. I've got no doubt about it. Poor old Western Bulldogs reckon they can beat Gold Coast in round 8, and I think the others are going to go the other way. They'll be about 3-7 at their bye, which comes in round 11. They're going to struggle, whereas I think Collingwood are probably working their way into some good form, but I've yet to see them play in a convincing manner.
With an ounce of luck, Brendan McCartney will be our guest at the commencement of Grandstand tomorrow. I'm sure, given the way the night has panned out, he'll hold to that commitment. Collingwood 15-8-98, defeating the Western Bulldogs 11-11-77. So the Pies by 21 points over the Dogs in an entertaining Friday night clash. Back here at Docklands tomorrow, the match of the day, Essendon and the Brisbane Lions, is our game for call. This is a bit of what took place tonight.
Away to Murphy, who belts the ball towards the 50 but didn't give it enough, and Cloak stands his ground to take the mark, only 48 metres from goal. He goes off the left with a perfect drop punt that's home for the money.
Cloak was directing traffic, he never quite got the ball. Murphy got caught with it, hand pass to the boundary, he'll be pinged for deliberate. So 2 moments that Murphy would like back. Cloak is there to take the kick. He'll put it right to full forward. They all leap in. It's about the crumb. Fasolo slipped under the ball and stole a goal. He doubled back through under their armpits.
Down to Liberatore, who goes to ground. Cross chucks himself at it. Spills to Cooney. Darts out of the pack. Hand pass to Lake, who kicks from 50. Lake all the way. What a goal. That is amazing.
Unbelievable goal. One of the great goals. And the time in the game. I wouldn't write the Bulldogs off, David.
Sideways to Higgins. So a chance to build from defence. Well, the kick's not great. Sherman was waiting. O'Brien stole it. Harry O finally into the game with a decisive strike. He kicks a goal, preying on 2 Bulldog errors.
Yakura at the back, charges in. Higgins as well. Collingwood under pressure, but they stand tall, and the hand pass comes from Reid to Clark.
Clark will kick it out for Ugle. They survive a tight moment there, the Pies.
Beams has played a perler. Hand pass to Swan. Standing start to half forward. Knuckle on the ball by Austin, but it gets behind him. Picken darts back towards the back pocket to gather. He does well. Hand pass to Austin, who nearly took it out. Finds Cross on defensive 50. Short pass, didn't go 15. Addison kicks straight to the opposition. It's taken by Wellingham, who gathers and kicks the goal to seal the game. Sharrod Wellingham gets his first, and the Pies couldn't be beaten from here. There's the siren. Collingwood win their 4th, and the Doggies' effort, while brave, has come up short.
They know how to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the Magpies' name. See the barricades are shouting.